The infamous. Yeah. House of Consciousness. Salute the architect, Brother Sa.neter. If knowledge got a home, you know where it's at. Let's go! Let's go.
King of consciousness.
Put respect on the name, built the platform for the culture.
Change the whole game.
Different views, different paths.
Everybody got a lane.
When it's time to build the people,
sa.neter leads the way. King of consciousness.
We appreciate the work, gave a voice to the unheard.
Put the teachings first.
From the elders to the youth,
helping all of us learn.
House of Consciousness forever.
Watch the wisdom return.
Before the algorithms, before the trends and hype, he was putting scholars on and bringing truth to light. Opened up the microphone, let the people speak. 7 days a week, dropping jewels for the streets. He gave a host of worldwide fans with diverse minds, from Professor Small to Brother Easy Band. Zion Lex on the screen, bringing knowledge and facts. Brother Reggie in the building, always ready to rap. Bunk West brought scientific concepts with a different perspective, making viewers think deeper, asking critical questions. Pastor Bennett with the scriptures, bringing faith to the table. Captain Taz debating, always willing and able. Nat Paul teaching lessons, giving people direction. Shaka bringing knowledge and aggression. But the Jabari dropping African history, building a stronger connection. The list goes on.
That's a fact.
No exaggeration.
He helped introduce great minds
to an entire generation.
King of consciousness.
Put respect on the name.
Built the platform for the culture. Changed the whole game.
Different views, different paths.
Everybody got a lane.
When it's time to build the people,
sa.neter lead the way. King of consciousness.
We appreciate the work.
Gave a voice to the unheard.
Put the teachers first. From the elders to the youth,
helping all of us learn.
House of Consciousness forever.
Watch the wisdom return.
Some got big followings, some became a star, some were neighborhood legends, some were known from afar, some were elders with wisdom that the youth never knew. Without this platform, many names would have slipped through. He gave space to the Christians, gave space to the Kemetics, Hebrew Israelites, atheists and academics, Pan-African voices, revolutionaries too. Different ideologies, but everybody came through. That's the beauty of the mission, that's the reason it survived. You ain't gotta agree to have a seat and go live. Economic liberation, mental freedom in the air, teaching self-determination, putting black power everywhere.
Some came for the debates, some came for the history, some came for the culture, some came for the mystery.
But everybody learned something.
Hey.
Everybody got a chance.
Hi.
House of Consciousness.
Help the people lead faith.
Yeah. Wow. Whether conscious or religious, whether skeptic or believer, whether scholar or beginner, whether teacher or achiever, he gave room for the dialogue, room for growth and reflection, room for disagreement without destroying our connection. That's rare today in a world full of division. Everybody wants an echo if you tackle the real mission. So salute the contribution, salute the decades invested, building the greatest archive the community's ever been blessed with. Many channels came later, many platforms took notes,
but the House of Consciousness
keeps the movement afloat.
King of consciousness.
Put respect on the name.
Built a platform for the culture. Changed the whole game.
Different views, different paths.
Everybody got a lane.
When it's time to build the people,
sa.neter lead the way. King of consciousness.
We appreciate the work.
Gave a voice to the unheard.
Put the teachers first. From the elders to the youth,
he helped all of us learn.
House of Consciousness forever.
Let the wisdom return.
House of Consciousness. A place where ideas meet. A place where voices grow. Salute, brother. From your brother, the infamous
DMG.
Let's go.
Shout out to my beloved DMG for that song. Beautiful song. Love it. Hey, I want y'all to know we got Sonjedi coming in a few minutes. He's loading it up. He should be here in a few minutes. As y'all can see what we're going to be talking about, Sonjedi, Kemetic traditions, and it's going to be a continued dialogue that we had the last time. So Sonjedi will be in the building. Powerful information. Let me let y'all know what's going down tomorrow. In case y'all don't know, this is what's happening tomorrow, man. I don't know if I got the time right, but it will be at 8 o'clock tomorrow. 8 o'clock tomorrow. We got Unc getting ready to face off with Dr. Inky. Both of these brothers will be in the hot seat. They will be asking each other's questions. And this is taking place at 8 o'clock tomorrow, sharp. It's going down, man. It's going down. Atheism versus inspiration. Oh, man, I don't know what the Inky, what is Inky doing? They both on the hot seat because they got questions coming from both of them. Juju, what do you think about this? Stinky Inky? Stinky Inky? Well, I think Inky wants some get back. And that's why Inky is coming over. He wants some get back from what happened between him and the debate with Unc, you know? And so I think he's been doing, oh boy, some research and hardcore studying. He's been doing some hardcore studying to get back at Unc. I don't know how he gonna do it, but I think Inky is out of his lane on this one right here. Stick with food, Inky. Just stick with health and nutrition, brother. You're stepping in the wrong lane. I'm gonna let you know that right now. I'm not taking no sides. I'm gonna just sit back and enjoy this exchange of information between y'all both and questioning. So I'm gonna just sit back and enjoy it. You know, that's what I'm gonna do. Hey, yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna just sit back and enjoy it. I'm waiting on my brother Sonjedi right now. You know, and he said he'll be here in a couple of minutes, so give him some time. Give the brother some time. Where all the Kemetic brothers at? That's what we need right now. The Kemetic crew to come up in here, and y'all can ask the brother some questions. You know, he is definitely a student of Raketi, Dr. Raketi Amen. He's a student of Raketi Amen. He's been amongst a lot of the greats that have been teaching us. A lot of the greats he's been amongst. So, yeah, he's been amongst the greats. I see the seat getting a little hot for Unc. As you can see his face on the, you can see his face as y'all look at his face. It's getting a little hot for Unc. Well, Sonjedi is a busy man. You know, he's in the hospital, so he works in the hospital. I don't know what he do in the hospital, but he works in the hospital. And I know he ain't a cleanup man. He ain't a cleanup person. He handles patients. That's his profession. He handles patients. You know, that's what the brother does. He deals with a lot of patients. Let me give him a call, see where he at.
Yep, literally 30 seconds. I'm just
All
walking
right,
to my
30
car.
seconds. Got you,
All right,
brother, because we live already.
all right,
The people
all
waiting
right.
for you. All right.
Yes, sir. All right.
All right. As y'all can hear, 30 seconds. Told you he should be in here in a few minutes. For those of y'all who been keeping up with Beauty and the Black or Black and the Beauty, Beauty and the Black, season 3 is on now. Season 3 is on. I was just watching one. It's 8 episodes. I'll give Tyler Perry a little promotion. You know, it's, 8 episodes, and it looks a little crazy. It's starting off crazy. Season 3. So but I know a lot of y'all like that Beauty in the Black. So starting off crazy already.
Get ready for your poll of the day. I'm not quite sure how to help you with that.
All right, we got our brother right here, man. Sonjedi, what up, brother? How you doing?
All right, Hotep, I'm doing okay, man. How you feeling?
I'm good, brother. I'm good.
Mm-hmm. Hold on, let me
Um,
modify my phone
do you
here.
know where we left off at? Because we
Um, well, I know we were talking about different, Kemetic tradition. I know we had a few brothers come in who were, asking questions and
right.
whatnot. So um, I don't remember those brothers' names. Forgive me.
Yeah, they're
But
coming. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, they were asking some pretty good ones. So that last brother, I think he had a beard. I think you have a beard. More on
Mhm.
the lighter tone side. I think I don't remember his name.
Okay, so
I, be-
man, let's
I,
get
be- I,
right to it. Because I got a few questions I want to ask you, and we can go in. So we ain't got to be here all day. Um, the first question I have for you is share with us your personal journey to becoming a Kemetic scholar.
oh man, I appreciate that question. Not a lot of people ask that. My personal journey. Well, number one, I'm going to start with my mother
Wow.
because I would say that my mother is the one who gave me my religion. My mother is the one who gave me my religion because she was always open. Although my family's Baptist, but she always supported my growth. Um, but when we were living in Germany, because our parents they were in the army, so we living in Germany. Now we're talking about the '80s.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, uh, their museum. All right, because see, the Germans that I would learn as an adult were very instrumental in Egyptology, especially like the elite of Egyptology. Much of that is coming out of the German school of Egyptology. But anyway, I was a child. I must have been about 7 years old, man. We went on a class trip, and I was fascinated with the Egyptian motifs. So I remember getting a sarcophagus, a little metal sarcophagus, in a gift shop, uh, and I fell in love with it. And maybe some time later, we were my friends were playing in the backyards. Again, this is on the American territory, on the military base in Berlin, Germany. And there was this kitten because we always like cats. So there was this kitten that I used to play with. I would feed the kitten, but someone had killed the kitten, which really broke my heart. I couldn't have been no older than 8. Something got in my head where I took the sarcophagus I got from the museum, and I took the kitten and I wrapped it in toilet paper or maybe paper towel or something, and I put it into the tin sarcophagus, and then I went in the woods, and in German or in Deutsche, it's called Grunewald. The Grunewald. It's a Deutsch or German word for forest. So I went back there, and there was this tree house, and I basically looked at the center of the bottom of the treehouse and buried the kitten in the sarcophagus under there. I guess maybe sacred geometry or something like that. I don't know. I was like 8 years old. I don't know where I got the idea from. I would say it starts there that I always had a fascination for it. And then uh, when I became a teenager and I got involved in, with the Nawapian movement, and I believe I was 13. Yeah, I was about 13. And, we got to biblical studies. Everybody pretty much knows that spiel. Um, you know, we had involved in the knowledge of Egypt. And of course, they spelled it with an I instead of a Y. Um, and then when the ancient Egyptian order came about through the Nawapian movement, which came out of the order of Melchizedek, which I was a member of, automatically became a member of the ancient Egyptian order, which, really fascinated me. Eventually, I left the Nawapian movement and, focused on being African centered. And I revisited works such as The Journey of the Songhai People, which was actually one of the first books that I read dealing with African consciousness, even before I became a Nawapian. All right. So that's, where I get a lot of my knowledge in West Africa. Now, at 19, I wanted to learn how to read and write what we now know as Medu Neter. So this is where I came across the book by Ankh-Mira, Let the Ancestors Speak. And I got the book from the Pearl of Africa. So anybody from Philly, if you remember the Pearl of Africa on South Street, the brother Ahmed was the owner. Good brother. He's an ancestor now. He put me up on that book. So that same year that I was studying Ankh-Mira's Let the Ancestors Speak, that's the same year I met Infantisi Jehudimes, Cotton Heru, Hassan Kamal Salim. In the same year, that's when I started college, right there, CCP, Community College in Philadelphia, where I became a member of ASCAC, and also became the vice president and then president of the African Student Union there at CCP. So Infantisi Jehudimes kind of gave us the practice aspect of it. So I was doing the scholastic side of it. Technically, I was doing that first when it comes to being Kemetic. And then with Infantisi Jehudimes, it gave that practice, that emotional connection to it. So I was getting it all at the same time. And also remember, Infantisi Jehudimes, he's a professor as well. So, I'm getting the scholarship from all angles. And eventually I was initiated in Kara Jehuti Heru Nebu, which, of course, reinforced me being Kemetic. And then I met Baba Heru eventually, Queen Afua, etc. And then in about 2009, that's when I started communicating with Dr. Kemetic Ahmed. I was already reading her articles and chapters, like the early 2000s. But in 2009, that's when we met, we started communicating. So that's just a rough overdraft.
Right. Thank you, brother. For my brother brother La, are you still talking about the literal and the netter? Why would you even think about that, brother? We ain't even dealing with on that level no more. We passed that already, bro. Oh man, you still stuck on literal and stuff. Brother La, it's all right. What you need to do as a Muslim brother, start being honest and stop lying to yourself and stop lying to Allah. Because Allah sees you, brother. He's closer to you than your own jugular vein, brother. Understand that.
If
So,
I may,
yes, go ahead.
I hope to put a end and a capping end to that dialogue.
Yeah.
So keep in mind that we're all adults here,
Right.
and when you're a child, you learn as a child. So as a child, you learn stories, okay? But
Mhm.
as an adult, you're supposed to learn the meanings behind those stories and engage the message behind those stories and engage what the symbols mean. And we all know that symbols are symbolic, meaning they stand in to represent something else. All right. So for me to consistently have a repeated question
Right.
like that means that the question is not asked because you really want to know the answer. Because the answer has been given multiple times from different angles. Okay. It really means that you're just having conversation for conversation's sake.
Right.
Because there's no end to it. You're not actually looking for an answer.
Right.
All right. So again, these are grown men. Again, I don't know the exact age of these, but I'll tell you
They grown men.
what really, it doesn't irritate me anymore. But what can be perplexing is that you have grown men in their 30s, 40s, and 50s
Right.
who are having arguments, in my opinion, at the level of 13-year-olds.
Mm.
Why are, and I'm talking to the brothers here. Why keep asking the same question over and over and over and over?
Over
All right,
again.
I have to now question, and I'll be honest with you, sa.neter. Again, it's nothing against you per se, or any, this is one of the reasons why I don't come on these platforms like that, because it's like I'm spending so much time on what you might call higher level things. Not higher than you. I'm not saying you,
No,
but
I got what you're saying, brother. You can speak.
but it's like, why? Like, what is up with the maturity level? Okay, and again, I'm not saying this to insult anyone, but I think it's a legitimate question. Do you really want to know the answer, or do you want to hear yourself talk, or you just want to find the next opportunity to get on camera to look like you're bringing a controversy to somebody?
Right.
Yeah, I don't really do that anymore. But somebody needs to say it.
I hope he's listening so he can learn this, because it's just like you can't get mad at the people who believe in Santa Claus, brother La, because you believe in the same thing when you're doing this stuff, brother. Come on, man. How in the hell can we believe, Sonjedi, that Newt and Gab were people that walk the street and eat food to live? How does that fit into our subconsciousness, into our consciousness, that these were real human beings, Gab and Newt, instead of, symbols and symbolics and stuff like that? So
it's very obvious.
Yeah.
It's very obvious that these are symbols. All right. No, I don't think that. So again, let's go to Kemetic.
Right.
You have what we call engineers. Again, these are the sculptors, people who make the plans for building projects. These are what we will call today engineers. Now, engineering is a branch of science. So in order to be an engineer, you need math, like complex math, geometry, logistics. You have to understand landscaping, all those kinds of things to be an engineer doing these things. So if I'm an engineer and I'm the one that's sculpting the sculpture, I'm quite sure I'm intelligent to know that the sculpture that I sculpted did not create the universe. So obviously, it is a symbol.
Come on, man.
Okay. And if I'm intelligent enough to lay out plans, blueprints for complex structures, I know that the sacred chamber in which the statue is held is symbolic. And okay, so I'm intelligent enough to know that. So I'm not going to question, oh, wait, do you literally think that, Amun is really sitting in the clouds?
Right.
It's a silly question. And, why spend your time in that kind of conversation when you can spend more time on reading the text and getting a mental stimulus on the message and the skill set in meta-nature? For example, there's a temple, I don't recall right offhand, but it's the hymns of Hathor, okay? Or Hathor. Some people say Hathor. So Hathor, and the various stanzas have a rhyme scheme. Okay? So what we do in hip hop, or how we use African American vernacular English, or we could even call it Ebonics, whichever one you choose, you have very similar aspects and skill set and tendencies between the two languages. Okay, so but you wouldn't know that because we're still arguing. Oh, did they take this literal or not?
Right.
To me, that's a question for a 10-year-old. Okay.
Yeah, brother. Let's move on, man, because Brother La have realized his stupidity and he have ran off the channel. Oh, there you go. He's back. Shout out to you, Brother La. It's going to be all right, brother. I'm never going to give up on you, man. I know you need help, and I'm here for you, brother. I'm not going to give up on you. You my brother. Let me ask you this question, man. What scholars, and I want everybody to listen to this so y'all can understand, what scholars should we look to learn about Kemet? Who would you put in front of us?
Are you asking me or the other brother?
Yeah, I'm asking you.
Okay, all right. Well, there's many. So we can start with a recent ancestor. You can start with the Asar, the late, great Charles S. Finch III, Ma'akaru. His latest book about Kemetic history, Nile Valley, a 10,000-year history. So that's either his latest work or second to this latest work. Definitely get that. It's really comprehensive, really good. It's well put together. There's another book by Amoye Neblet, who's one of my elders. He wrote a book called Nisubidi. So it's a recent publication. I highly recommend that you get that. Very simplified work. He focuses on key Nisut kings in Kemet. Yeah. So that's a good start. I would definitely recommend the work by the late great, wrote the book Divine Speech, Jacob Carruthers. Get that book, Divine Speech by Jacob Carruthers. That's a good start. You can get definitely Nonviolent Contribution to Civilization by Tony Browder. Get that work. Starting off, another great one is by Robin Walker, When We Ruled. Get that book. So in that work, he talks about African world history, but he has a few chapters specifically on Kemet. Right. Get that work. There's more, but it can come up in our conversation, but definitely get those works.
All right. I want y'all to be ready. Y'all gonna be able to ask the good brother some questions. So just be prepared. And let me ask you this, brother. Why is Kemet so important to African people? And I'm talking about the African people on the continent, continental Africans, and diaspora Africans.
Okay, so thank you for that question. So I'll repeat the sentiments of the late great ancestor scholar Shekinah Job. And it's either civilization and barbarism. I believe it's in that work within the first couple chapters where he's saying that Kemet, and I want to paraphrase, Kemet is to Africa. Okay. Kemet.
You froze. Say that again. You froze.
Okay. So
Kemet is to
Africa.
Yeah.
What Greece and Rome is to Europe. Okay. Now, I'm not, that's not a quote. I'm just paraphrasing.
All right, you breaking up. You probably driving through a messed up area. You breaking up right now.
Say it again.
You're breaking up right now. You're probably driving through an area with low frequency. You back now. You're back.
How's that? Are we good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when it comes to Kemet, and you want to know, you need a tool to separate African tradition from the influences of Christianity and Islam, the Abrahamic traditions. The African tradition with an abundance of records that predate the Abrahamic traditions. And then you look at the African traditions that are here now, and you compare them to what's going, to Kemet. So that way you have a method to find what is African from what is influenced by Abrahamism. So Kemet is a strong tool to help us determine the African modalities that is not influenced by Western Asian culture and religion. Now, it doesn't mean that you now need to be Kemetic. It's just a tool. Okay. So even myself, I'm also an adherent of Sheshe Legba. Right? Some people say Ifa or the Yoruba tradition. We would call it Isheshe. So I can take the traditions in Isheshe and Orisha tradition, if you will, and compare it to what's happening in Kemet, and I can do it with other African cultures as well. And I can triangulate, if you will, and I can weed out any Islamic influence or Arabic influence from the Yoruba culture. For example, many may know the greeting in Yoruba, Alafia. So that comes from Arabic influence, which means Muslims coming into West Africa, okay? And even converts. All right. Whereas in the indigenous Yoruba language, like sa.neter, you're older than I am. So if I seen you in the morning, since you're older than me, I would say Ikaro. Ikaro. I could say Alafia, but Alafia is a loan word.
So Ikaro
is like saying good morning in Yoruba. So that's what I would say to you, because you're older than I am. And you respond to me, Karo, because I'm younger than you. So it's a respect factor. And or if I said it to someone who's my age, I would just simply say Karo. Or someone younger than me, I would say Karo. Instead of saying Alafia.
Right.
Okay. So we know that Alafia comes from Al-Afia, which is Arabic. So the comparative linguistics or historical comparative linguistics is a way to determine what our commonalities are. Not so much, let me make everybody Kemetic. It is not a conversion tool. Like the Abrahamic traditions, are structured to convert people and to basically say my way is better than yours by virtue of the fact I'm different.
But
Okay.
isn't Islam the same thing? Because their way is to convert you. Because in order for you to say your prayers, you have to learn Arabic. You have to learn how to read it in Arabic. How come we can't say our prayers in our African tongue? Why it always got to be Arabic? Because their goal is to brainwash you, like so many of us is.
Well, here's how I would approach that. So if you are a Muslim and your sacred text is the Quran, I mean, I would expect that, Arabic or Arabia is the sacred language, which is logical in that sense because it is Islam coming out of Arabia.
Mhm.
Now, again, Islam is an Abrahamic tradition. So Abrahamic tradition as a collective, its general stance is that their way is the way, and you are beneath them by virtue of you being different. Or if we put it another way, like the elder scholar Marimba Ani, she would
Mhm.
put it this way. She would say that the European ethos, and I'll extend it to saying the Eurasian ethos, is that there is one God. Why? Okay, so you got to be careful with that. There is one God, and there's one way, and we are the only ones that has access to this one way and this one God. And in order for you to get access, you got to come through us, which is an imperialistic, enslaving posture. Okay, so Marimba Ani, in her work, Yurugu, an African-centered critique of European cultural thought and behavior, is also extended to the Abrahamic traditions. Once you understand the asili, which is the soul, the seed, the core of a culture, of people, you can understand its manifestations. And once you understand its manifestations, it doesn't matter how it manifests. You can recognize it no matter what it looks like. It doesn't matter if you're, Democrat, Republican, left or the right, Christian over here, or this type. Doesn't make a difference. The objective is all the same. Is that I need to enslave you, and here's my method of doing it. Okay? It's just that between the different Abrahamic traditions, they're just fighting between who can do it better. Okay. All right. Now, are there good things inside of them? Yeah, of course. Cleaning yourself, doing ablutions, purifications. Yeah, that's not unique to Abrahamic traditions. It's not unique to Islam. It is not unique to the Hebrew tradition, etc. You do have proverbs and wisdom sayings. Everybody has that. At the end of the day, what is the logic behind the culture? Because, and I believe Dr. Ben would speak about this, that religion is the deification of a culture, right? Because all religion comes out of a culture. So let's do a comparison here. Let's go to Kemet. So there's a story. Remember, it is a story, and stories relay values and truths of a culture. So there's a story that's called The Destruction of Mankind. All right, by modern scholars, they call it that. But it's a story of Ra, and Ra is getting older, and the people are basically blaspheming Ra because he's old, he's dragging. So Ra gets upset about this, and he speaks with the council of the Neteru. Okay, now mind you, just not get into the literal stuff. All right, everyone, we're all adults. We get the point. So, so he speaks to the council of Neteru, which would include his parents, by the way. All right. which includes his parents, about what to do about these upstarts. So he sends his eye to deal with it. So his eye, who's Hathor or Heru, symbolized by a cow, she transformed into a lioness, Sekhmet, and then she goes after the humans, the people who are basically talking trash about Ra and wanting to uprise. And it's a major bloodshed. So Ra becomes conscious of this in the sense that, okay, she's doing too much. We have to put a stop to this bloodshed. So he sends Jehuti, who is a nature of intelligence, planning, mathematics, etc., who can be depicted as the Cynocephalus baboon or the sacred African ibis bird. So he devises a plan to make red wine because Sekhmet, she's drunk with blood, if you will. She loves the bloodshed. So he makes red wine and he places it where she have access to it, and she would drink it, thinking it's blood. She would get drunk, and then she becomes satiated, and she stops the bloodshed and transforms back into Heru. Okay, let's compare that to, let's go into the biblical narrative. Let's say the biblical narrative or biblical mythology. All right. So in the biblical mythology, when it comes to the flood during the time of Noah, so it's destroy everything, of course, except for Noah and his family, via the flood. So essentially, there's no limit except for Noah and his family and selected animals. And it was total destruction because people were disobeying him. All right. And then, we know the story goes on how, they replenished the earth. Okay.
All right.
So the question is, so watch this. What is the response of Ra from the Kemetic side when it comes to him disagreeing with something, and how does Moses' God respond when he disagrees with something? Okay. Ra speaks with a council, which would include his elders. So it was a collective decision, essentially. Right? It was a community where you have the Moses's deity, and I believe he's talking to other angels, etc. But it's mostly an individual decision. So this is for everyone here. Always look at how the gods or deities of a tradition, how do those characters act and respond to things? And this is how you find the actual values of the religion. You always look at the behavior of their gods. Now you know the value.
All right.
Mhm.
Let me ask you this now, because we gotta move on to different topics. What is the basis of Ma'at philosophy?
Okay, so the basis of what we're calling Ma'at philosophy is really about social balance, right? Social coherence for the survival of a group. So in order for you to survive, well, not just survive, but to thrive and be prosperous, you need Ma'at as a social and cosmic order.
Brother Gideon, you can come in and ask a question when he finished. I'm gonna let you in, Gideon.
Okay.
Go ahead, bro.
So ritual is a major part of Ma'at philosophy. What I mean by that is, as Marimba Ani would speak about in her book, let the circle be unbroken, that African people, we use ritual to practice and exercise agency in the world. Because when you do, that means that you are not a passerby. You are not just an object. You are subject. You are an actor. You are a decision maker in the ways of the universe. So when it comes to Ma'at, the way you have your foundation is in ritual. So when you go to sa.neter and you look at the signs that construct the word, you have a platform glyph, which is basically shaped like a rectangle where on either side you have a slope at about a 45-degree angle, which represents the platform for when you walk up steps onto a higher rise platform where a neter stands or where an altar or a shrine is. So that's what makes it sacred. So you have that sign. Then you have a sickle, which is used to cut sheep, used to cut wheat. So that implies precision and work ethic. So precision, work ethic as your foundation, because it is precision and work ethic that you have to do in order to grow crops, in order to calculate time. You're in an agricultural society, which you have a Kemet being a small part of the Hopi River Valley civilizations. You have to know when the flood is coming in, so you know where to plot your land to grow your crops, etc. Because this is how you survive, and you do it in such a way where you have social cohesion. This food goes here, this food goes there. We got to make sure everybody eats. So the basis of my philosophy is always to create balance between people, which means you have to have high morals of sharing. Because in order for a group to survive and thrive, you have to share resources with each other. So Ma'at is about sharing with each other. So if I don't eat, you don't eat. If I eat, that means you eat. So that's also related to the South African philosophy of Ubuntu. Okay, I am because we are therefore I am. I am human because of other people. So the basis of Ma'at philosophy is about being human, and being human is sharing, because you are an extension of me. I'm an extension of you, and that we are made up of the same substance as the creator. They call that consubstantiation. And we know that because we go into the text, all right? We go to what they call the coffin text, or the book of Ma'at Karu. You have a section called the Four Great Deeds of Ra. And this is where the creator symbolically speaks about his deeds, what he's done. And he said that I made the four great winds for all people to breathe in their time. There was nothing about a chosen people. He said all people to breathe in their time. So this is equal resources. This is the right to life. So my philosophy is about everyone being able to have an optimum life, which means that we share with each other. So, and doing everything you can to balance the relationship. So if I offended you about something, it is my responsibility to find how did I offend you and what can I do to restore the relationship. So the action, so ma'at comes from a word, is root word in the language ma'at, which means that which is straight. So that which is straight, when you stand upon that which is straight, you are automatically balanced. Okay? So that which is straight, which then becomes a word a noun meaning something is true or truth, real, reality. These are definitions of ma'at. And then as you might call a cosmic implication, it's the operations of the world and the universe. Because when we look at our own bodies, there's order in how our cells operate. And you might call it homeostasis. So our bodies are always doing what it can to balance itself. There's always an ebb and flow, to balance. This also happens in nature that you see around you, where all things are seeking to balance itself, while there's other things seeking to unbalance, because you have, here you go. What is the purpose of having predators in the wild? This is part of my eye. Well, and why why is it that a predator's population is always smaller than the population of herbivores? Okay, because the predators eat the herbivores. What is the function of that? Because if you have the animals that eat in the grass, if you don't have a control over the population, then they'll overeat, and then it depletes the soil, if you will. So the function of a predator is to keep that population down, essentially. It's gruesome, but that's because it maintains order. Okay. Now, of course, we wouldn't like the predator because we don't want to be eaten. So the predator wants to eat us, but we want to live. So we have to create tools and techniques to preserve life. So ma'at is the preservation of life.
All right. Last question, and then we can open up the platform. And let me answer my brother La. Brother La said, did I say something disrespectful or wrong in regard to what has been presented? No, you have not, brother. Not today, you have not. Well, you have in the past, but today you're being a good young brother. You're being a good young man today. You're being salam. You're being peaceful, brother. Shalom to you, brother La. You're doing good. Stay that way, brother. Stay that way.
Was that question for me, or he was just asking it to you?
No, that was for the people in the chat. He was asking the people.
Oh, okay.
So you're doing good, brother La. I'm gonna say, you're good, brother. So last question, and then we're gonna open it up for the people to come in and ask their questions. Does ancient Kemet have texts to tell people how to live ethnically and morally?
Absolutely. And those texts is called the Sabayit.
Mm-hmm.
So the Sabayit are the wisdom texts. All right. And the word Sabayit comes from the word Sabayi, which comes from Seba, which is a verb meaning to teach, to instruct. Okay. So it's the books of instruction. And there's various books. So we can start with, we can go to Ptah-hotep, which is the more well-known one. So we call it the instructions of Ptah-hotep. Ptah-hotep was a jati. Some would translate it as vizier, but he was a jati. So it's like saying, it's like a little bit more than a governor, okay? So he was a jati during the time of Nasut, or King Isesi of the 5th dynasty of ancient Kemet. He wrote his texts where he claims to have been 110 years old in the introduction of that text. And one of my favorite quotes from the book of Ptah-hotep, which I've said a few times: "Be not arrogant because of your knowledge. Take counsel with the ignorant as well as the wise. For the limits of knowledge have not been set, nor has anyone reached them. For the For wisdom is rarer than emeralds. It can be found amongst the maze of the grindstones. So that's one of my favorite ones. Another quote out of that book, The Instructions of Ptah, um, and I believe it's the second one. So it's the second, and it says, if you meet a disputant or someone who argues while they're in action, who is your superior, he talks about how you're supposed to deal with that. The next one, he says, if you meet a disputant in action who is your equal, then he talks about how to deal with that. And then the next one, he says, if you meet a disputant in action who is not your equal, he talks about how to deal with that. In all three cases, he's talking about maintaining your integrity in the midst of that. Okay. He speaks about having friendships with others. Like if you have a question about the dealings of a friend, go directly to that person. Don't go asking other people. In other words, don't go talking trash about them. You want to know something, go directly to that person to find out. He speaks about uh, manners while eating, or when someone comes to your home and you have food, invite them and share your food. Okay. So there's over 40 different instructions of Ptah, and then you have the instructions to King Merikare. So that's about the 9th, 10th dynasty. So you have that. You also have the instructions of Ani. So we're talking about the New Kingdom. You have the instructions of Pahepor. That's in the late period. You have the instructions of Amenemopet in the New Kingdom. I believe that's around like the 20th, between the 20th and 22nd dynasty. In fact, Amenemopet, his instructions, scholars have compared Proverbs to the instructions of Amenemopet. Again, of course, I don't have it right in front of me. We could definitely discuss that in the near future. What those comparisons are, and there's more. So to answer the question, there's a whole corpus of wisdom texts in Kemet. Here's a quote that I really love. It's either from the instructions of Ani or Amenemopet, or Pahepor. But anyway, it says, "He who spits in the air will have it fall upon him." Let me say it again. He who spits in the air will have it fall upon him. It's another way of saying, if you do dirt, you get dirt. So y'all remember DMX said that, right? You do dirt, you get dirt. Okay. Serve a great man so that he may serve you. Okay. And even wisdom text is not considered wisdom text, but you have what Malana Karenga calls the declarations of virtues. You have that. So you have the declarations of innocence, which many of you may say the 42 laws of Ma'at, if you will. I don't like calling the 42 laws of Ma'at because I don't know, I kind of feel like it takes away from the essence of it. But we can talk about that in time, or someone wants to have an elaborate conversation on that. But you have the declarations of innocence saying, I have not done such and such wrong thing. But then you have the declarations of virtues, which is say, I have done these things, such as this. I have given food to the hungry. I have given water to the thirsty. I have given clothes to the naked. I have given a boat to those who are boatless so he can find his way upon the shore. You find that in many of the tombs, especially in the old kingdom per se. So we're talking about the early dynasties all the way going up to the 6th dynasty, and even tombs even after that time period. But it's very common. So to be Kemetic, you should be giving food to the hungry. You should be donating food to make sure other people eat. You should be donating clothes to those who may not have it. Okay? If you're Kemetic, are you involved in clothing drives? Okay. You don't have to do it publicly, but do you do these things? Are you generous to other people who are less fortunate than you? These are core things that are at the heart of what it means to be a virtuous person from the Kemetic standpoint. And this is very important because this is common across the board when reading Kemetic literature. And I emphasize that because, we have people who are Kemetic and then you have people who are Egyptophiles. So
The difference.
so you like, okay?
What's the difference?
So an Egyptophile, so an Egyptophile would be someone who, again, they like the way it looks. They're fascinated by it. I mean, I was an Egyptophile at one point, right? And they just focus on the looks and the sounds of it. But the question is, how does this influence how you live your life? So if you are Kemetic, which means you're African-centered, you're Kemetic, you're using Kemet, its literature, its rituals, its ways to inspire how you live your life. That's what it means to be Kemetic. So those things that I mentioned about, from the declarations of virtues, this is part of it. What it means to be Kemetic. Are you consistently looking for ways to balance your relationships? Now, it doesn't mean be kumbaya with everybody, right? And it doesn't mean don't defend yourself. It means that, you're always seeking to have integrity. You're seeking to have social balance and psychological balance, being honest with yourself. Because see, to engage with Ma'at philosophy, Ma'at means truth, right? Truth, justice, reciprocity, all the words that we use. So are you being honest with yourself, real with yourself, in order to create an internal balance rather than internal turmoil? Whereas the great scholar, elder scholar, Wade Nobles, in his book, The Island of Memes, he speaks about the tornadoes of the mind. And he uses the Kikongo phrase, Kizango Zungu. Okay, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Anyone who has that book, please verify that. Kizango Zungu. All right. Tornadoes of the mind, which occurs as a result of the Ma'afa, all right, are the enslavement and abuse that we experience. So we have to do extra things to balance and heal ourselves. This is my philosophy, a part of it. So are you seeking clarity of mind? Are you doing those things? Or are you always agitated, cursing people out all the time, with no end? This is internal turmoil. This is what we call isfet. And then again, and lastly, going back to, continue with Ma'at philosophy, which you find all throughout the Sabaite texts. So when people ask about, well, are there wisdom texts? Yes. So in the Sabaite text, it speaks about social balance, how to do that. So you can also read the works by University of Kemet Press, Takai Kilimanjaro. You want to get, those works, where he has a book called Ka, or Ka squared, Ka 2. And it's about recognizing the ways of the universe and using it to inspire order. And again, this is they even have a book called Ma'at. So definitely recommend get that. So get Ma'at by University of Kemet Press, Takai Kilimanjaro, beloved elder of mine. You want to get Ma'at by Malana Karenga. You want to get that work as well. There's other ones, but I want to leave some time for more discussion. So hopefully I answered the question.
Yep, that answered it. Listen, Sonjedi, we getting ready to open up the platform right now, and I want you to be mindful that you don't take too long to answer the question, because we got a big
All
panel.
right.
Yeah. And
All
so
right. Duly noted.
the first runner up will be our brother Gideon. Gideon is a Hebrew Israelite. Brother Gideon, let's go.
Shalom. Appreciate it, sir. All praises to the Most High in the name of Yeshua. Peace and Jetty. How you doing, man? That was a nice presentation. I caught about 30 minutes of it, man. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. All right. Peace to you. And then, we say Hotep Herek. So it means the exact same thing. Peace be upon you as
Yeah,
well.
for sure. Because, we definitely lived amongst each other in the past and before the forming of our nation. But my thing is, I just got like a couple quick questions. I'm not even just gonna give any pushback on or anything. But my thing, and I'm not saying this is you, my problem with a lot of people who study Kemet is that they seem to romanticize it. For an example, like we would have something in the Bible where we have specific legislation for a whole nation of people, and you still have people that will question it. Whereas with Kemet, we can see something that was maybe affirmed or declared by a king, a Nasut, and people would take that and try to apply it to the whole population and say that's what the whole population was doing when the text and the information isn't giving us that. I call that romanticism. So my question to you is, first question I want to ask is that when you look at the netters, because I didn't hear this part, would you consider the netters literal? If you spoke on that, can you just like yes or no if you already have?
Okay. So I did address that before. So just like the dealings of Yahweh in the text that you follow, just like the prophets and angels in the text that you follow, the Netzeru are also models of, storylines and behavior and examples of what to do and what not to do.
Right. Okay. Can I give you a clear cut example? Because so, like for instance, in Job, when when Satan and the host of heaven is before Yahweh, they're speaking to him. And I heard you speaking of the tale of the heavenly cow. We take that as literal. Now, when you were speaking of Sekhmet and Ra and Sekhmet, Hathor turning into Sekhmet, like we take the book of Job, we take that literal. Do you take that story literal?
Well, in fact, I'm going to say this. What do you think? Do you think that intelligent people think that a cow turned into a lion literally?
Yeah, I believe they really thought that. Yes.
No, sir. That's symbolic.
I really believe they believed in that. And not only do I think they believed in it, the text and the history and the culture shows that they believe that it happened that way. But like I said, I mean, I don't want to give pushback. So my last question to you, and I'm gonna fall back for a little while. I heard you say it's a lot of cultural, not exchange, but transmission and continuance that we see from Kemet into West Africa. Now, whereas with concerns of the Torah, I can cite several specific cultural practices that we see in Torah that we see being practiced explicitly as stated in West Africa. Now, can you give us any explicit things like that you've seen from Kemet that has been transferred to West Africa? And I heard you mention a concept. I'm not really speaking of concepts because, then I go into philosophy and, anything can be philosophically directed in that way if you wanted to. I'm speaking of like evidence of, cultural continuance.
Okay, so I wish I had my brother Sar here. He knows the specific, but there are traditions of kings in West Africa who would give a declarations of like innocence or declarations of virtues before they die. Okay, so this is a cultural commonality, like you have in what we call the Pertim Heru, that sacred text of about 200 chapters, where in the 125th chapter, to be specific, um, you have declarations of innocence, beginning with, I have not done Isfet, okay? And then you have 41 that follow that. So you have the Papyrus of Ani, or Anui, the Papyrus of Horus, the Papyrus of Nepsini, to name a few, to be specific. So that is one cultural commonality that you have between ancient Kemet and West Africa. And then I'll mention another one, which is very general, uh, the what we call the Asarification, that many scholars call the rituals of resurrection. That idea of the burial rituals in Kemet that involve Osar, you have it in West Africa. In fact, you even have people whose Osar in West Africa in their different dialects. So, so again, the ritual you find in West Africa among the Yoruba, the Ewe, etc. And lastly, when you go to E.A. Wallace Budge's book, Osiris and Egyptian Resurrection, the end of volume 1, the 2 volumes, where he's comparing these rituals, and the only cultures in that he can find that has any significant comparison to are in West and Central Africa. All right, so that's in general. I know we got to move on.
I'm so happy. I'm so glad you broke that down so scholastically, Sonjedi, because whenever you have a Hebrew, and shout out to my man Gideon, but these Hebrews act like their Bible is so much better than ancient Kemet. Like, we got this in our Bible. What y'all got? And the way you broke that down, it shows them you wouldn't have a Bible or a Torah if it wasn't for Kemet, man. Simple as that. I got to give it to you. But hold on. Go ahead, brother.
So, although I would consider myself Kemetic, I always do the best I can not to be overly biased, because we cannot discount the Canaanite tradition as foundational to what we're calling the I'm gonna say the Hebrew tradition, okay, or the Hebrew Israelite tradition. All right, out of respect for the brothers and sisters who practice it. So yes, Kemet was a major influence. Yes, we have we have historical evidence of that. Okay. However, we want to look at the traditions, the Canaanite traditions, where you have El, you have Yahweh, who's the son of El, Baal, a son of El. Okay. So again, that's a whole conversation. So I would include, that tradition in the origins of what we're calling what becomes the Torah, etc. The hymns to Baal, and I've read some of them, were taken by the scribes and priests who comprised the Torah and copied them. All right, so he took the aspects of Baal and El and absorbed them into Yahweh. And the Muslims, they did something similar. Again, I respect their religions, I respect the brothers and sisters, but when we're talking about historical evidence, there's evidence that even in the Quran, that the authors took hymns to Jesus Christ and put it in there. But again, this is evidence, historical evidence and it doesn't fit the narrative, of course, but out of respect. But
Yeah, no, I could respect that, but I would disagree with that
Of course,
the hypothesis, and more so with what Sai was saying as far as how the Torah derives from it. We definitely did not emerge from Canaan, because if you look at the research and the history, even with the Armana tablets, it shows that there is a shift and a new populace of people that entered into that land, whether it be the Sea peoples or the Israelites coming into Canaan land. So I would have to look more into that. I didn't see any. I didn't see any.
Can you pause for a second? Well, I don't mean to, my apologies, brother.
Yeah.
I think you're mixing up some things. So the Sea Peoples that we're talking, that's like 20th dynasty, so that's way after the Amarna period. Um, so those are
Well,
slightly different things there.
well, 12th century.
Um,
12th century would be the time for the Sea People's arrival around that time, right?
I mean, yes. So we're talking.
And the Amarna letters were written.
Hold on.
Right.
So,
But the Amarna letters were written during the same time.
no, actually they were not. So the Amarna letters,
It was like a span
that's
of
during the time.
300 years, huh?
No, hold on.
Yo, get in.
The,
Chill.
it's okay. It's all right. So the Amarna letters are during the 18th dynasty. Okay, which are called talking about the Sea Peoples, with whom Ramessu the third of the 20th dynasty fought against. So we're talking about a difference of 200 to 300 years. Okay, so just to add clarity, I get the angle that you're coming from, and I also want to say this to sa.neter, that I don't blame our Hebrew Israelite brothers and sisters for their position, because the religion dictates that they have that mentality. The religion itself, remember, I was saying that look at the behavior of the deities of a religion and you will see the values. So the religion itself postures itself as exclusive. So anyone who is born into it or converts to it would take on that same mentality because it's structured that way. Now, is it the best religion in the world? That's subjective. That's according to the people who follow it. But you want to ask the people who may have been victimized by it. So according to their own text, they've mass killed multiple groups around them. Okay. Well, do those people think that that's the best God or the best religion? Well, they're not. They killed them. Oh, pardon me. I don't know if we can say that on YouTube, but they removed their existence because essentially the leadership wanted their resources. So you find a way, you use God to say, well, I want the resource, so God told me to do it.
Right.
At the end of the day. All right. But again, I don't blame them for it because that's what the religion dictates.
Just like God told the Israelites, go over there and get some of the Egyptians' gold and diamonds and clothes and stuff. Go on over there and get it. That's
or kill everybody. Oh, pardon me, I'm sorry. Remove everybody. Take the virgins, all the women who hasn't given birth, to the gold, the bdellium, the resources, everything that you want. Okay, so spoils of war. Okay, right. But yeah, all right, continue.
But yeah, man, that.
Brother Gideon, thank you.
Well, I was cut off in the beginning, but go ahead,
it's
bro.
time to move on.
I know the place. Go ahead.
If we got time, I'll come back to you, brother, for real. All right, let me go to God Energy. God Energy, what up, man?
Yo, peace, y'all, peace. I wanted to ask the brother a question, but I also wanted to add on about the Sea Peoples, and their Aegean origin and the work coming out connecting them to Sardinia, the Nuragic culture of Sardinia. And you can see the Canaanites were the least affected by their invasion, and the Canaanites and the Sardinians were close allies. Right, so you can see this cultural connection between them, this political connection between them, with the Sardinians being clients of the Phoenicians, and the Phoenicians being the most prosperous after the Sea People's invasion. But I wanted to ask the brother Sonjedi, with us having our genetic origin with Western Central Africa, do you feel like the Yoruba tradition would be something we could look back to as well as Kemet, or would you promote Kemet as a moral code and a spiritual system over the West African Yoruba tradition, which we actually descend from? What's your take on the Yoruba tradition versus Kemet, and why promote?
All right. So PC brother, thank you for the question. Well, the first thing I would do what is remove the word versus. Remove the word versus because we don't we don't position them in opposition. So it's not that one is better than the other. So I would start there. And next, to say that we, and it sounds like you're making it collective, we descend from the Yoruba culture or tradition. Um, Not totally, okay, because all of us don't come from Yoruba land. All right. Some people are Fulani, some people are Mended, some people are Awe. Right? So we have different groups. Now, the Yoruba tradition of Orisha, um, honoring the Orisha is very common amongst us, despite which group we come from. I mean, I'm one of them. I don't have, I don't descend from the Yoruba people do practice a Yoruba tradition. Okay? That
You're breaking up, Sonjedi. You're breaking up.
comes to Kemet. All right. How's that?
You're good.
Am I good
You're
now?
good now. Yep, you're good.
All right. All right. So, like I said, there's no one tradition that's better than the other. So I never position Kemet as better than the others because, and again, no offense to anybody, that is something that's done in Abrahamic traditions. They do that. They position themselves, I am better than you. My God is better than yours, or my version of God is better than yours. We don't do that. They do that.
Oh, that's
Okay.
wild.
And um, there's nowhere in Kemetic text that I've read. All right. And again, and I'm not positioning myself as better than anybody either. But I've spent a lot of time reading Kemetic text. All right. And I'm still learning more that they don't posture themselves like my God is the only God. Therefore, if you don't worship my God, then you are beneath me. Okay. It's always about the behavior of people and what puts them beneath, not by virtue of the fact that you're different. So again, back to your point, we don't position one against the other. So if you want to do Kemet, then be Kemetic, but you want to go to people who are Kemetic, not Egyptophiles, people who actually live this thing. And mostly people who are Kemetic, who actually live Kemetically, they don't come on social media like that because they're not focused on, they don't do debates because it's not about debating, because debating, usually comes about as a way of, let me try to convert you or show how I'm better than you. We don't do that. That's why you don't see people who practice Shishe Legba or the Yoruba tradition. They're not out there debating like why the honoring of Ogun is better than honoring Yahweh. Okay, we don't do that. That's what they do. Okay, because it's for us that is immature to think that your way is the only way. But evidence and reality shows that is delusional. Your way is not the only way, and your way is not the best way. Because to think so is to have a mentality of it is immature. And yes, I'm labeling it that way because people are hurt and harmed over it. But anyway, hope that answered your question, brother. Um,
All right. Let me get on over here to where you at? Where my man at? Cosmic. What up, Cosmic? I see you, Dr. Reggie, you next.
Hey, yo, peace. Uncle Jasineb, peace to the panel. Peace, brother Sonjedi. I had two questions. The first one, can you discuss the practice of ritual, mantra, heka, and deity invocation in ancient Kemetic practice as well as modern Kemetic practice, and the ties that this particular practice and methodology has to West African and diasporic traditions?
All right, it looked like he froze.
Yeah,
You might have to wait for a minute until he get back. He's driving, so he went right to a spot where the service, the internet is a little messed up.
I mean, he might be going through like a tunnel or something.
Right. He'll be back on in a few minutes. Brother Gideon never ceased to amaze me, man. Brother Gideon.
You know, the practice.
Well, you sound like you're breaking up. Was that me? Was that me?
was
Sound like you're breaking up.
Yeah, that's you.
That's me. Okay.
You back?
You're gonna wait until you get into a better spot. There you go. All right, go ahead, Cosmic.
All right. Okay, there we are.
I'll be honest.
You there?
I'm here. I'm here. He's froze on my screen though.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking him. You there? All right, he went froze again. Just hold on for a minute. Let's give him a little time.
Yeah. All right.
I'm good. I can hear you.
Okay, go ahead, Cosmic.
All right. Yeah. So I basically I was asking you if you could discuss the practice of ritual, and mantra or heka, and deity invocation in ancient Kemetic practices as well as modern Kemetic practice, and then also the connections that methodology or that practice has to West African spiritual traditions and diasporic spiritual traditions.
You there, Sonjedi?
Yeah, I heard it. I was processing how much that would take to give a comprehensive answer. But that is a very good question. So I'll be as short as I can. All right. So what you'll call a heka, we have heka. So that would be like words of power or invocation. We have teru, which means going forth of the mouth, which is an invocation. Of course, hesi or hosi, that's your hymns, if you will. These are songs. So think about this, the God, if you will, the worship of God develops from the honoring of authorities. The honor of authorities is where you are honoring kings, chiefs, parents. All right, y'all, can everybody hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So it is that kind of honoring that becomes ritual. So let's start with this. You wake up every morning, correct?
Yes, of course.
Okay. All right. So you wake up every morning. This is in regular intervals, meaning this is a cycle. So you wake up in the morning and, you drink your water, you go to the toilet, you wash yourself, you eat breakfast, etc. This is done in regular intervals. So when you have a chief, be it man or woman, you have servants who attend you. So you wake up, the servants help to wash you. Your food is made for you. You get to hear someone singing or a group of people singing to you, okay, as a way of uplift. So you're doing this while the person is alive. Now, when the person becomes an ancestor, you don't stop doing that. You continue doing that. But how do you do it? You do it is still ritual, because for African people, those who have physically deceased are still with us in spirit. They are a part of our family still. They're a part of our active family structure. So now think about this. Have you, brother, or anyone on the panel, have you had a grandparent, great-grandparent, elder who have fed you, but then when they become physically incapacitated, you had to feed him or her? Has that happened? Has anyone experienced that?
Yeah, of course, of course.
Okay.
Well, not of course,
So,
but yes, yes.
right. So you, by you feeding your parent, you don't stop doing that because that person becomes an ancestor. You continue this cycle of feeding them every morning. Every time you eat,
Hold on
you
for
include them.
1 minute. Sonjedi, turn off your camera. It might give you more power. Turn your camera off and talk. Yeah, go ahead and talk.
All right, that better? Okay. So, um, you, when that person was alive, you ate at the same table. You shared food. That goes back to my philosophy. So you shared food together. So when that person becomes an ancestor, you continue that tradition. You don't stop. So we put a plate in that person's spot to honor them eating and feeding with us. In fact, in the Kemetic text, it speaks about how when you eat, your ka is beside you eating as well. So which means that you are never by yourself. So this speaks about the African concept of having community. So even though you think you're physically by yourself, you're never by yourself because the spirit is always with you. So going back to this ritual. So the ritual of eating with your living relatives or a chief or someone of authority, that continues. So you would do that tradition inside of that person's house or chamber. So that then develops to, let's create the house of this person and let's make it larger. We make it out of stone. So a temple is actually modeled after a house, all right, or a dwelling place in the woods or in a papyrus field. And at the rear end or at the rear section of a temple, which is called a hut, that's one of the words for temple, or a pero, which is another word for temple or temple complex, um, is the personal room of that spirit, which now becomes a nectar. So you have to go through the front door of the house, which in a temple format is the peristyle hall, the open court, if you will. And then you enter through the hypostyle hall, which is the covered hall. That's the next section of the house or temple. And then you get to the third section, which is the room of that ancestor spirit or nectar. So the same thing you did when that person was alive, you do it symbolically. So you create a statue which reminds you of the image of that person. Of course, the statue itself is not the person or the spirit. It's supposed to house the spirit, the imagery, etc. So when you do these rituals, it is a way to continue to teach you hospitality. African ritual is a way of teaching humanism, hospitality, because what you do symbolically, you're supposed to, that reinforces what you do literally, for those who wonder about literal and symbolic. The rituals that you're asking about, brother, is done in ancient Kemet, is done in modern Africa, the African diaspora, okay? So these are the commonalities. So it teaches you, again, hospitality, teaches you manners, it teaches you how to honor other people and how to honor yourselves. In the ritual, you give food. You give food in the ritual. These are called offerings. And in fact, when you go to the daily ritual, the first thing.
He cut out again.
Testing, testing.
Yeah, you back.
Can y'all still hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now. Can you hear us,
Can y'all hear me?
There must be something wrong with your connection, fam.
Hold on.
Probably got to go out and come back in.
Okay, testing, testing. Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear us?
Testing, testing,
Nah, you good.
testing, testing.
Can you hear us, brother?
Testing, testing.
Doesn't look like he hears us, man.
Yeah, I don't think you can hear us, Hankover.
All right, Sankofa, you done?
I had one more question, but I know he went long. So if you
Oh,
let
can
me
you hear me?
ask you, that's cool.
Yeah, we hear you, Sonjedi. We got to move forward. We got to move forward. Let the brother ask.
Testing, testing.
Sonjedi can't hear
No, I
us.
know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna kick him out. He'll come back in.
That's funny.
Testing, testing.
Yeah, I got to kick him out.
One second.
Hey, I wanted to you can find currently in West African tradition this idea of holding up standards, right? The standards themselves will have totem animals on them. Like the king of West Africa right now is in DC. And when I was at Howard looking at his speech, his dignitaries had standards with animal totems on them, right? You can find these direct standards in ancient Kemet, where every city had its totem pole. As a matter of fact, one of the when you look on the map, when you're looking at the gnomes or the sepats of ancient Kemet, you'll see the pole and the totem standard on the top. So that's a direct one-to-one correlation of a modern African.
All right, hold on, Sonjedi, you there?
Like how they do in Rome when they have the standard, the same thing.
Hold on, brother. Sonjedi, are you there?
I'm here.
All right, let's go, Sankofa, with your last question.
Right, my last question. All right, so people always they downplay late Kemetic practices like circa 500 BC to 200 AD, but during that time period, we also find a lot of writing. So I wondered in your studies, could you discuss any continuity of cultural practices that you found in the late Kemetic period, and any changes that also happened during that time, if that's in your studies?
All right. Now, when you say late Kemetic period, all right, you're talking about after the 20th dynasty, so we're talking about 21st dynasty, all the way to the beginning of the Greco-Roman period.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Now, what changes are? Can you give me a specific change?
Well, no, I mean, I hear in some of the discussions, not a lot, in some discussions, I hear people always downplaying late Kemetic period, like during the Greco-Roman time, so to speak, right? But we also get a lot of texts from these periods, like the Edfu text and the Esna text, that gives us a lot of insight into at least certain Kemetic cultural practices during a certain time period. So I was wondering, in your studies, have you also come across that? Are you also of the camp that's throwing away any information found during that time period, or do you still see value in information that's discovered or found during that time period?
Okay, so you have the late period, then the Greco-Roman era. So these are two different eras. One comes after the other. Great question. I study all of it because you're able to distinguish what's Greek and what's not. Okay. So in my early years, we focused on, 18th dynasty, 19th dynasty, and earlier periods, and didn't get into the other periods like the late period, etc. There's a lot of value in that. And even in what we're calling the late period, you have the 25th, what they're calling the 25th dynasty of the Sudanese, or those from Napata, if you will, Shabaka, Pianki, Shabitaka, Shabitko, Amanirdas, etc. That's highly valuable. In fact, our elder Tony Browder was involved in excavation of the tomb of Karakamun, who was a high priest during that time of 25th dynasty. Very valuable text and information. You even have instructions, the Sabayit, that comes, that goes into the late period, if you will. Very valuable. And about the Greco-Roman period, remember, just because the Greeks are there, they are not the cultural dominants. You can have a political position. Okay? So I read those texts, and it doesn't matter to me that a Greek's name is inside of the Shinwa, that they're not the architects of the culture. I read all of that stuff. But when you have the education to distinguish, I know where, well, to the best of my ability, where you have something that's Greek and something that's Kemetic. But it's still going to be Kemetic. They're just copying off of us. And keep in mind, go back to the Harlem Renaissance. That was a creation of Black people here. But because this Euro Americans are the political dominant, doesn't mean that they're the ones that created the Harlem Renaissance. So
It's a great.
Appreciate it, family.
yes, sir.
All right. Let's move right along. My brother, Dr. Reggie, you got the floor.
Oh, yes. Brother Sonjedi was a very excellent presentation, and that you covered a lot of points, and actually taught at the same time, gently, kindly. One quick thing, just a couple quick questions. One is that I will post Dr. Ricchetti's class for anybody interested in taking the class. And I think Brother Sonjedi is teaching one of the classes. So if you want to know more, you should go to the Meta School, the School of Philology that Dr. Ricchetti and Baba Bonacci and Brother Sonjedi and Ankara and Jedamah teaches it. So Brother Sonjedi, we will be returning possibly in the debate on Kemet, and I am thinking that I am going to possibly debate Brother Ankh, who you know very, very well, on the term Kemet. Has anything changed? Wait, first of all, do you believe, or do you know, have you researched that Kemet means the Black Land?
Okay, there we go. Yes, I was involved in that researching etymology of the place name Kemet. I'm not the primary researcher on that. So on that question, Asar Imhotep is the most qualified to discuss that in detail. However, I am of the position that the place name, all right, and I'm emphasizing the place name, I'm not talking about the adjective, all right, that the place name would be, you could translate it, well, my translation would be Riverland, right, which is the same as saying riparian land. Right? Again, this is not the adjective. So I already know that people are going to say Kemet means black. I'm not talking about that word. So now in the school, just to make it clear, in the Institute of Kemetic Philology, which is again, one of the instructors that you mentioned. All right. I don't really go into that in that school. So we just leave it untranslated. So we don't really get into the meaning like that.
That's fair.
Okay.
That's fair. Okay, so the second, just a second comment. Certainly, you mentioned the teachings of King Marikari, of King Keti to Marikari, and that is definitely one of the texts that I think that people should read about how they dealt with foreigners. There's the other text, which is Siui, which you might have mentioned, right? There's a text in it that says, you are the sole God like whom there is no other. And so it's Neteru, Uweti, Sinueth, right? And excuse me for my pronunciation. And then it comes up to this one, Neteru, Uweti, Sinueth F, which is you are the one God without your equal. And then it goes on about basically smiting the Southerners. So in that regard, when someone says that they are the sole God beside whom there is none, created the earth according to your desire while you were alone. That's a non-text. In the context of other religions, culturally, I believe that the Kemetic or the Kemwet, I think better Kemwet than Kemetic because the wet is the plural that will deal with the man and the woman. That they in fact saw themselves separate from other other groups, and as far as the gods and stuff, they didn't really care about that much. They cared about just being separate and doing what the king loves. Any comment on that?
All right. So, well, you said a few things. Now we spoke about I'm gonna try to run it in order. So the instructions addressed to Merikari. Now, were you suggesting that I read that, or are you just saying it for the listeners?
No, the audience should read that.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you for that.
For you.
So let me see. Then the next point about now are you speaking about the hymns to the Aten?
Yeah, I'm just generally just parsing out that the Kemwet. Some people say Kemetic, but I think better Kemwet. Right? That they saw themselves separately, and in some regards better than the other groups. So on the issue of other neters, right, like Baal and stuff like that, they either incorporated it, a Starte, a Nath. They either incorporated them if they thought they were useful.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, all right. Now, the phrase, the epithet, netrawa. All right. And mind you, for the audience, we're just doing consonantal pronunciations.
Yes.
These are approximations. So, netrawa you could translate that as the only God, the one God, the sole God per se. And in the hymns to the Aten, he would expand it by saying, like whom there is no other. All right. Now, this title is also shared by other Neteru.
Yes.
All right. So this is a qualitative epithet. It is not a quantitative epithet, meaning it doesn't mean this is the only God in existence. All right. Correct. And I'm using the word God for everybody because we're speaking to a general audience. This doesn't mean this is the only God in existence. This is a quality or qualitative name or title. It's like saying the first lady in the United States. It's a qualitative title. It doesn't mean this is the first woman who ever existed and the only one who ever existed. It is a qualitative. So when we say the soul neter or netrawa, this is qualitative, not quantitative. So in the Abrahamic traditions, they reduced it to a quantitative name.
Correct.
Rather than a qualitative. And yes, I do agree. The Kemetic did look at themselves as, well, we're civilized, we have ma'at, and people who act out of order are beneath.
Correct.
Okay, so that is true. That's in the text. You can see that very clearly. All right. And when it comes to foreigners, as you mentioned, let's go to the Amu. So the Amu, which are people from Western Asia, Hatshepsut, in one of her texts, she was saying how she restored the monuments in Kemet, and I'm paraphrasing, which were destroyed by the Amu, and she restored it in order because the Amu did things in ignorance of Ra. Okay, so that's her way of saying their moral compass is jagged.
Correct.
Because the knowledge of the Neteru to them doesn't mean knowledge of my God per se. And if you don't know my God, then you're wrong. They're talking about moral behavior rather than the worship of a particular God. All right.
Correct,
But
correct. Well
continue.
spoken. Last question, because I know that other people want to talk. In my debate with Mr. Asase, one of the things that Mr. Asase said that was not covered in the debate was just we just covered the literal part. Mr. Asase, sa.neter Tepi of the Shrine of Ma'at, said that the Neteru are not actual. Any comments on that? I froze.
Hopefully he froze.
Did I freeze?
I think Sonjedi
Nah, you
froze.
good,
No, I
bro.
did. I got you. I'm sorry. That's my
Okay,
fault.
so
So yeah, I heard your question.
oh, thank you.
So again, I didn't hear that part of the debate, but for the purpose of this conversation, and me knowing Jabari Osaze, him Netetepi of the Shrine of Ma'at, I would imagine that he means that the Neteru are symbolic, right? That they have a strong symbolic nature.
Mhm.
So that's how I can answer that question.
Well, in this particular case, he didn't say that. He said the netters are real. They're not literal. They're not actual. And we're talking about how forces and energy work in the universe. So the question to you is generally, in your thinking, are the Neteru actual, right? Even or since you raised it, even if it's something symbolic, it's still based on something real, and something actual. So in your thinking, is the Neteru actual? What's I need to stay out of this?
No, you my brother, Reggie, but let's not. We're trying to move away
Okay,
from.
hold on.
No, I'm
Yeah.
people
All right.
want to know.
I want to put that I want to put that to rest because at the beginning of
Yes,
the conversation, I did address that. Okay.
yes.
And to be fair to the people who were listening in the beginning, um, and to keep consistency with the things that I've been saying, I don't think that that is a worthy conversation, right? Because again, I want to stay consistent. All right. So it's not a worthy conversation about whether these things are real or not. Okay. That
No,
is
they
my
are
position.
real.
All right.
Well, he said that they are
Hold
real.
on. Hold on. Respectfully, I didn't deny whether they're real or not real. Okay.
Correct.
I don't think adults, again, I'm going to stay consistent. I'm going to keep saying it. As adults, we should not be arguing whether symbolic things are real or not. Okay.
Mhm,
So that's what I said in the beginning of this conversation. All right.
mhm.
And I'll be honest with you and respectfully,
Mhm.
I do grow a little tired of it because it's circular, is over repetitive. All
Mhm.
right. And now it becomes pointless. I
Mhm.
would much rather you ask me about specific values that are spoken about in the text, something about a ritual. I'm not concerned anymore about dialogue and whether symbolic things are real or not. We're adults. We're all above 30 here. We know these things. So, and I say that respectfully, but I have to stay consistent with my position.
No, respectfully, I do understand, but I am 61, and in no way, no fashion am I a young person. It was just something that was said in our audience, and then either we clarified, is clarified. It happened to turn into a debate, a partial debate, but it's just something that happens on this particular channel, where if someone says a statement, then we require a source or a source or text to actually show it. So the due response would be to, if there is a disagreement, right, to show the available information and the sources that confer what a person says. But I understand your position with all due respect, right? But in any dialogue, if someone says something that seems to be vague or not complete, then it should require an explanation as to why the person said it. But I do understand your position. I respect your position, right? I just wanted to say that in this particular audience, things like that can turn into a dialogue and a debate. But you don't debate. That's not, and I respect that.
All
And
right. Thank you, Reggie. Thank you, my brother Reggie. We're going to move on to a sa.neter.
Sir, do you see me?
No, you're an invisible man, like your God. I don't see you.
Brother, I was the first person on the show.
Oh, I'll make sure I get you next. My bad, Apostle. You was in the dark. That's why I didn't see you. So, make it quick so I can get my big brother up in here. Unmute yourself, Asar Mka.
Okay, there I go. I got two questions for our brother, Kemetic, to the panel, Kemetic to the chat. The first one, you being from Philly, I know how rough Philly is. Just visiting my family in North Camden and cutting across that bridge on 5th Street. And a lot of us coming from a tumultuous past. Tell them if you could kind of break down and explain to the people how therapeutic it is. I don't know if you've done this part before, since we're talking ritual, writing letters to the transitioned, or as people say, the dead, which is part of our Shemsu culture, and also the part about when we do a Diya Paret Karu and we offer to the Ma'akaru, the true voice, at dinner time, which I always call the first form of saying grace. My first question, can you elaborate to the people how therapeutic that is when you come from rough environments to talk to your ancestors that may have died from being unalived or any of that type of nature?
Doing that to, Uncle, which I sent up to you, Sani. I appreciate your question. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, and it's refreshing to get that level of dialogue. You know what I mean? You just made my day with that, brother. So writing letters to the departed, you even have that in ancient Kemet. You do have that in Kemet. That is therapy because it allows you to go through the grieving process. It allows you to move forward with healing traumas, issues that have been deeply buried within, and it helps you to move beyond the feelings of, I wish I would have said this to this person, now I can't. But in African tradition, you can. My wife and I went to a series of seminars some time ago, and we went through what you might call a ritual, if you will, but we're in a big group setting, and this is what Black entrepreneurs. So it's a conference for Black entrepreneurs or homeowners, etc. And we were going through exercises that have to do with processing grief. And we had to write a letter to a person who passed away that we may feel that we haven't had resolution with. And in that exercise, I wrote a letter to my dad, the man who raised me, about something that he did that really hurt me. And when I was a lot younger, but I never discussed it with him. So I wrote that letter, and then there was a person standing in his place. Okay. And I read that letter to my dad with that person standing in the place. So that person was a conduit for me to speak to my father, for me to heal that. And to this day, I feel a a greater sense of resolution that I did that. So that was healing. And I encourage, as the brother's implying, I encourage all of us to do things like that because it's healing. And I'm so glad that you brought that up, brother. And then what you discussed about the Hotep Dina suit formula, the offering formula. And I believe that you said the Peret Karu. And Peret Karu means an offering which is given to him. Okay. All right. Or Dia Peret Karu. So this is the offering formula that you do for ancestors. So ancestor veneration, we have in ancient Kemet, and someone asked earlier about the relationship between ancient Kemet or versus West Africa, if you will. No, there's a relationship there. All right. So we do that with the ancestors because we invite them to eat with us, because we offer to them and then they offer to us. And as the Kemetic text say, if you go to the Berlin Papyrus catalog 6619, which is about the daily ritual or the daily offering ritual, I believe it's ritual 5. I can't go into the details here, where it says, as you live, we shall live. And as you are prosperous, we are prosperous.
Hey, Reggie, call me right quick. Reggie, call me right quick. Sorry, y'all. Go ahead.
Yeah. So that again goes back to that philosophy we talked about earlier. So hopefully I addressed that adequately enough, brother Saram Cobb. Thank you for bringing that up, doing that to.
Absolutely, Dua Seba. And then the last question. It was me, you, and Saber Reggie in the museum some time ago. We got to read the Medu Neter, and I was excited because you were one of the only people that was with us that could read like we read, right? So, you know, and then of course the famous Arabic incident where I was reading the Arabic in there. But when it comes to the Medu Neter, look at Sa. Sa like no, but yes, Sa. This is part of it. This is part of what it is. And shout out to Saber Jabari because he's starting to get more involved with the text. He knows the text, but he's starting to get even more involved with the text. How important is it to you? Obviously, you now have a second job teaching Medu Neter. How important is it to know the difference between those the words of the Neter as opposed to reading an English translation, and what you've seen that you've been able to correct from scholars who may not see the African in such a good light?
Okay, so again, Dua Netta, thank you for that question. So one of the things that Sebat Briketi Amen teaches us is about culturally specific words. That is her phrase. Where let's take the term neter. Okay. You know, we like to leave it untranslated because you have to feel the meaning of it and how it's used. So when you read the text and the term is used, you know that you can't just translate it as God per se. Now you can, yes, all right, but we don't perceive quote unquote God in the same way that certain other groups do. So we leave the word untranslated. So on one hand, you can go to the tomb of Paheri in the 18th dynasty. And in the tomb of Paheri, he says that knowing this from that, I knew the Neter who dwells in people. Now, of course, they translated, I knew God who dwells in the people. This is the 18th dynasty, y'all. This is before anybody said the black man was God or God is inside of you in English. Okay? 18th dynasty. So we know that Neter is a force that is within all of us. Okay? And then you go to the coffin texts and you go into the 4 great deeds of Ra And when Ra says that I made the Neteru from the brows of my eye, and I made people from the tears of my eye. So that's saying that Neter is the substance that is us. Simultaneously, you do rituals honoring Neter outside of yourself, all at the same time. And then when you look at words like ma'at, and as was described earlier, and the definitions thereof, you take the symbols, all right, and you look at them and how those symbols represent objects and what are the functions of those objects. So look at the standard, the platform, one of the symbols that comprise the term ma'at. And is a platform where you walk up the steps and then onto a flat surface that is above the base ground. So in order to get to the level of doing ritual and engaging in spirit, you have to up your level. You have to rise up, walk up in order to engage ritual, because that's what the ritual does. It raises you up. All these things are inherent in understanding how the words are constructed, but you'll never get that if you don't learn how to read it, looking at symbols of what they mean. But you will have people who ad lib and, of course, we call make things up that aren't substantiated. However, you look at the culture. So hopefully I addressed that, brother. I know we're strapped for time.
Absolutely. Emetep Dua Seba, brother Apostle, floor is yours, my brother.
So do I got the floor here, Sa?
He's on the call, Apostle.
Yeah. Wow, man. I don't know where to start. It's been so long.
Yeah, well, just don't let it be long.
I'm grateful that it took this long because I was able to hear more and more and more and really select a few good things that I want to talk about. I did hear you say that you submit to the teachings of Kemet and Maya, but you also follow voodoo and these other African type religious traditions. You calibrate it in a way. Did I hear that?
Okay, so thank you for the question. So I'm going to try to repeat it back to you so I can make sure I understand what you're asking. So on one hand, I said that, well, you said submit. I wouldn't use the word submit to describe how I practice or do things in my life in that manner. But I do understand what you mean. So I utilize the teachings out of Kemet as an inspiration for my life. I also utilize the Orisha tradition coming out of West Africa as an inspiration for my life. I do not perceive them as actually fundamentally separate traditions. Because I'm African-centered and following in the vein of the ancestor Sheket Job and the cultural unity of Africa, they are all fundamentally the same. You have variations of the same mother or matrix tradition.
Okay.
So hopefully that, yes.
Okay. So would it be true then when the Belgians were attacking Angola and Uganda and controlling that country within the continent, the people from other parts of Africa came together and bound with the Africans and fought the Belgians. These Africans came together, bound from North Africa to Sudan to Uganda to Angola. They just fought this white man because they were all one. Is that what you're saying?
No.
Oh, hold on.
We're talking about the
Hold on.
Congo.
All right, wait a minute. Let me understand.
Did I ask Asar to answer that question?
No, you're just talking about my people. So I got a little hype. But go
About
ahead.
your people. Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
So
my people.
Yeah.
Them people.
You ain't from the Congo. We are. So that's why I got a little hype.
Yeah. Well, get mad.
All right.
Hold on.
Stop. Focus, Apostle.
All right.
She's the one that's not focusing.
Okay. All right. So if I'm allowed to, I will respond to you. So I don't. Okay. All right. So what are you implying?
Okay. My point is you saying that you follow all the traditions of Kemet. But at the same time.
No, I did not say that, but continue.
Okay, what I'm saying, you follow the traditions of Kemet. You teaching them, you believe in them.
All right, continue, please.
Okay, so then also you believe in another country on the continent, 54 countries on the continent. The continent isn't unified, but you also believe voodoo, which some might is a practice of corrupt, evil, blasphemy, and other things. I don't know. So I mean, that's what it sounds like to me.
Okay.
It just have me to think of the Bible telling me you can't serve two masters.
Okay. All right. So, all right. So I got a family. I got you. All right. So, number one, while I do not have any issues with the Vodun tradition, I have god sisters who are Mambos. Much respect and love to them. All right. I never said that I'm an initiate in the Vodun tradition. I never said that at any point ever. Okay. But this is not an okay. So Vodun is a sacred practice coming out of West Africa. And of course, we have it in Haiti and in the southern United States as well. All right. So that tradition of Vodun deserves to be honored and not disrespected as it appears that you're doing, sir. All right. So I resent that you do that. And so I ask that you do not do that in this conversation, as I will not do that to you. Now, what tradition do you practice? A religious tradition?
Say what now, sir?
Do you practice a religious tradition?
I'm a Hebrew.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So you're a Hebrew Israelite?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So,
but I was Christian. I was a Christian pastor.
Hold on.
He's just asking if you're a Hebrew. Just stop right there and listen.
Okay. All right. Now, to maintain consistency of my position, because you utilize that tradition and given the character that you're displaying right now, because if a person is Hebrew Israelite, I don't automatically think that that person is a bigot or is overly biased. I just look at the tradition itself and the logic of the behavior of the deity that your tradition professes. All right. So based on what you're saying now, all right, I have to question your character respectfully. Hold on. based on what you said and how you mischaracterize African tradition. And what you're saying is reflective of a colonial mentality, okay,
Uh-oh.
as per record. Because what you're saying and how you mischaracterized voodoo via African tradition, it appears that you have an underdeveloped world around you.
Say that again.
Based only,
You went.
okay.
Say that
I
again. You
said
have
that.
the what?
I said that it appears, and I'm speaking to the brother, that, that it appears that you have an underdeveloped view of the world around you, based solely on what you said. Okay, how you mischaracterized it. So I am allowed to practice any variation on the continent that I so choose, with or without your permission.
Brother,
Okay?
I'm just asking you.
Hold on.
Just be quiet and be
Hold on, brother.
He's
Because,
answering you now.
okay, because many, yourself and many others, y'all spent a lot of time, y'all speak to people who maybe not prepared. I'm fully prepared for you, sir. All right. So you mischaracterized, that's a colonial mentality that you just did, because I can point out many barbarous things
Don't know
that
who you're talking to.
depicted, hold on, that your deity has done from your book that's more debaucherous than Ogun or any other. And we can go verse by verse. I'm not doing it right now, okay, because I'm in the car. But we can do that of barbarism. And if we read the discussion, the speech of Frederick Douglass, that ancestor, where he speaks about, of course, the United States, but the debauchery that's described by Frederick Douglass, we can put that next to your deity point by point. So before you come and disrespect, dishonor African traditions, you need to look at yourself. Because your deity is responsible for the murder, bloodshed of millions upon millions of people for thousands of years, and it's still happening in the name of your deity. Your deity, the sexual exploitation of little girls, your deity. Okay, the exploitation and the stealing and theft of other people's stuff, your deity. And this is what you follow, and you have a nerve to come on here to talk about African tradition. You have some nerve, sir.
Yes.
All right. So, in fact, let's go to the next, because brother, I am very prepared to deal with that out of your book. So you, sir, should deal with the debauchery of your tradition before you come in. You deal with the rape and murder of your deity first. Then you come talk to me, sir.
I'm talking to you.
See, you got to be wise, Apostle. Know who you talking to, brother. This ain't no brother that just came here. He been here from the beginning. For real, bro. You got to know who you talking to, man. Go ahead and respond, Apostle.
And the murder, hold on, and lastly, and the behavior of your prophets. Okay, because I've had Hebrew Israelites question me, well, where the prophets at in Kemet, etc., thinking that I can't answer the question.
I think you spoke.
Look at the behavior. You have to look at the behavior of your prophets and the behavior of your deity and your angels.
Yeah, and my angels. Do all of that. Just because you're hurt because of a question that I asked you, but you were too immature to respond respectfully. I'm older than everybody on this panel.
He did respond.
Some silly
that was
on this panel more so in my life. And I sat here and I listened to you criticize me. I never criticized you. I'm trying to find out where you come from. And it's stop. All this nonsense about I just ate dinner with my wife. My mother been dead since 2019.
Apostle, we don't want to hear about mama, man. Let her rest in
Well,
peace.
believe me, she did.
Apostle, let mama rest in peace, brother. Please.
I'm
Don't.
just resting in peace.
I'll respond to him.
She
So,
did not birth when I birthed. Okay? I'm not going to sit here and be silly enough to take an emotional pause and sit there and belittle people that have lived their lives and died to say that when I eat a meal, they burp. You sound like a fool.
Damn.
Now, I'm saying,
name calling and all
that? He called me a name.
You resulting to name calling?
He called me a name.
What name he called you?
He attacked me, Si.
What name did he call you?
Him. I go back and listen to it.
No, you said he called you a name. What name?
That's right. He disrespected me.
Man, no, he didn't, brother. What he did,
all right, let me address that. Let me address that.
Hold up. What he did.
Let me address that.
I'm gonna let you address it. What he did was smack you upside your head with some proof. That's all he did.
Something you never did.
Okay.
And you couldn't take it. All right, go ahead.
Okay.
Sonjedi.
All right. So let's share some clarity, sir. Let's share some clarity between each other. All right. So you said that you're older than everyone here. So what is your age, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm 71.
Hello? I'm sorry?
I said I'm 71.
Oh, you're 71. Okay, I'm 45. All right. So thank you for saying it. So yes, indeed, by age, you are an elder. All right. Now, I would expect that someone of your age would understand that the world is bigger than the religion that you practice. All right. I'm just telling you, this is what I would expect from an elder. Okay. What I would expect from an elder, someone of your stature, is that to mischaracterize the tradition of another person based on unfounded bias is unbecoming of an elder. The things that I said about the deity of the tradition in which you practice is not insulting, because I spoke based on what's in the book. I did not mischaracterize anything, sir.
Neither did I.
Okay. Actually, you did, sir. Hold on. Actually, you did. All right. So my response to you, and again, you characterize it as emotional, but it appears to be as a way to demean or belittle me and what I was saying. I can see that clearly. And hold on, and that's okay. It doesn't, like, I'm not affected by it. I spoke passionately. So me speaking passionately is not me losing control of myself. Right? So I controlled my tone. I spoke purposefully in everything that I said in the way that I said it. So I would expect an elder, someone of your age, to comprehend that. So moving forward, I hope that you demonstrate that kind of understanding and wisdom, so that you could be an example to those of us who are younger than you.
All right. Thank you. Harwin, what up, man? Harwin. Did I call your name right? Heroin or Harwin?
You know what? I like that heroin. That sounds good. But it's Harwin.
What's up, Harwin?
What's up, son? Hey, son, this is the toughest environment, right? I got a statement.
Go ahead, bro.
It's the toughest environment. Right? Okay. The brother Sankofa asked about late period and Greco-Roman period, if it's valid, and it was a great question. And then brother Reggie came on and asked about the debate between him and brother Jabari.
Oh boy, you still got Jabari in your mind. You dreamed about Jabari last night, brother?
I'm only talking about what was mentioned here.
Was it a wet dream, brother?
So can I get it out without you in it? I understand it's going to hurt.
Just ain't nothing hurting, man.
Please, if it's okay.
Yeah, go ahead, man.
Okay. Brother Reggie brought up his debate about what Jabari said. And here's how Sankofa comments related. Brother Reggie showed a source of an actual Egyptian priest by the name of Meneto. And in that source, it was contrary to what Brother Sonjedi just retorted when he said, or dismissed it as a childish conversation, when he said we want to talk about these things are all symbolic. Is there symbolic talk in ancient Africa, including which includes Kemet? Absolutely. But to impose presuppositions onto the entirety and in the form of an absolute, as if they don't believe in deities that had agency, is incorrect, and it's disrespectful to Africa to speak towards Africa as if other African tribes that may or may not be related to Kemetic culture that actually believe that deities that came to them had agency, and they're
Thank
over
you,
30.
brother. Thank you,
So,
brother.
so have a good one, bro.
All right.
So when that was said,
I would like to respond to that. Let me
that was
respond to
spoken.
that point.
That was spoken. When I'm finished, if it's okay.
Yeah, go ahead. I just don't want you to go all the way down to 3 and 4 or 5 points. I want to get to each
I'm
point.
not. I'm only staying on this one point. I only got one point. To speak on that with, because there are Kemetic scholars, quote unquote Egyptologists, and biblical scholars that are Hebrew scholars, PhDs, that argue these same things. I've had conversations with some. Some will say that some things are symbolic and some are literal and metaphoric. And there will be biblical scholars that would say the same thing about the Western Asian texts, whether we go into the Ugarit, the Akkadian and the Eastern Semitic texts, etc. So to speak as in absolutes, it's unfair to Africa. You can have your own opinion about what you think, but to call it childish is very disrespectful to African cultures, people who are initiated from ancient times to now in 2026. Because there are indeed right now African cultures that do agree that there are symbolic talk for sure. Then they also agree that there are some actual deities that they had interaction with, whether in a dream state or in this physical state. Can we confirm if it's real or not? Not the question.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for that. Now, I really like the points that you're bringing up. And it does show a level of, it does show how you're connecting some dots, but it also shows that, I'm going to show you where the holes are. Number one, no one ever asked me, do the Neteru or deities or Orishas, etc., have agency? You didn't ask me that. If you actually asked me that question, I would have given you an answer. I would have told you that the Neteru have agency, but you didn't ask that. Okay? And now for people who are initiated in these traditions, I am one of them. All right? There are certain things we don't just initiate in conversation, but those who are initiated know that. Okay? So here's an example. If my deity is water, then that means my deity is real because water is real. I have no issue with that. And you mentioned those initiated. I am initiated. But again, those who are, we have conversations in certain contexts. I don't speculate about these things. But you have to ask the question. If you don't ask the question, I may not even give it to you. And I do not speak in absolutes. I never say anything absolutely. So I would challenge you to listen closely to what I'm saying and what I'm not saying. And also, you may want to take inventory of how you are perceiving things. So based on what you said tonight, it sounds like you had a belief about me or about what I would say, and you're looking for those things instead of directly asking me. So there was a lot of suppositions in my position tonight. So Neteru, Orisha, etc. spirits are, yes, they're symbolic. But do they also have agency? Yes, they're all the same. It's called simultaneous validity. And that's part of one of the examples I gave earlier about from the tomb of Paheri. That's a specific. We can go to the Shabaka stone that speaks about how Ptah exists as a neter in everybody, in all animals and all things, etc. That's agency. But again, you didn't ask me about it. You made an assumption. And I will hope that me giving you this correction, that you take the correction and make the adjustment.
Brother, respectfully, I was very specific. I didn't only say the word agency. I also used an actual source that Brother Reggie brought up from Mineto that said real beings, which you said you didn't want to engage into a quote unquote, we're all adults here. We're all over 30, I imagine. I don't think we should have a conversation about things that are symbolic. And I'm directly
And
addressing
I
that.
agree with him. I agree with
Is
him.
there, you can agree with him, side, but can I cook? They are indeed. I'm not just speaking of agency in water.
I
And if
see
you want to go
you.
to Shabbat
I see you,
song, we
Muslim.
can
You
go to
next.
the Shabbat song.
You next, Muslim.
We can go to the Shabbat stone and have the whole conversation about consciousness and about what actually is that is. That's the hard problem, a hard consciousness problem in physics, and it's been unsolved for a long time.
For
So
you.
when no, not for me, just for science in general, it's not solved. That's a fact.
These are
In
challenges
physics,
that's the challenges for you, sir, not for
no,
everybody.
in physics, you're not a scientist. I'm speaking about what quantum physicists
Well,
are
go back.
admitting that
How
we
do you
do not.
know that?
One
How
second,
do you know that?
because I study quantum physics.
No,
So
no, no,
when
no,
we
no, 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 no. How do you know I'm
listen,
not a scientist? Well, sir, how do you know I'm not a scientist?
so allow me to be very specific. You're not a
How do
quantum
you know?
physicist,
How do you know? I didn't ask you what you are. How do you know I'm not?
sir. If I could finish, then you could ask me right after that. Because I let you, when you talk, I let you go, Sonjedi. I didn't show no disrespect. I didn't jump in, and I waited my time and let everybody else talk. I didn't say nothing.
Okay, can you start with how you know I'm not a scientist?
Well, now, no, I'm going to start where I left off at. I didn't have any presuppositions about you before I came here. I'm
Well,
only
you just
addressing
did.
specifically. Well, if you can, if you think that's a presupposition, if you can prove that you're not if you're a quantum physicist, I have no problem with correcting myself. But you said you can't, others can, and I'm saying nobody has proven the hard problem of consciousness, and I use quantum physics to back it up. Now, if that's something you would like to debate with me, I'm your huckleberry. But what I'm saying is, when Brother Reggie brought up what he said, and I
Yeah,
addressed
hold
your
on, hold on,
presupposition,
hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. Harlan, when you get your ass in the ring and you got a belt and you got a debate up there, worry about your debate. Why you keep worrying about somebody else's debate and what that man did? Worry about what Harwin is going to do to Chuck Morris. That's what
I'm not talking about that. I only said that if he did,
about, man.
because he tried to correct
Brother,
me and say
I
I
want you to
haven't.
ask the brother a question, brother. That's it.
Y'all
Come
got
on.
it. Y'all have a good night, man. Harvard
You
don't get a fair shake.
Okay.
I was
Okay.
patient.
You
I
messing up.
was patient. I didn't disrespect the brother.
I never said you did.
We having an intelligent conversation. I didn't. I only said because I only mentioned the debate thing because he said you don't, brother. I do, which was condescending. But I don't. I don't. I got tough skin. It don't matter to me. The only
All right.
reason why I even said that, sir. So
All right,
that's the only
sa.neter.
reason why I even said that. But every time Sai got to come in and protect people and pray.
I don't
Witness
need to protect
protection
nobody.
program.
I don't need to
This is
protect nobody.
Okay, hold
y'all
on,
got
hold
it.
on.
Man,
Y'all
How
got
you
it.
doing?
Y'all got it. Have a good night, y'all.
Okay,
Have a good night.
what's your name? Hold on, wait. What's your name, brother? Don't leave. Okay.
Yeah, he
All right.
ran. Hey,
All right.
let me bring up the Muslim now, because I know the Muslim got something too. Come on, Muslim. Brother Lai, you got the call, brother. Muslim brother Lai. Let's go, brother. Brother
As
Lai, you
always,
there?
yes, I am here. As always, I'm going to say peace and blessings to every brother that's on this panel, as well as their brothers and sisters in the chat. I'm Hotep, brother.
Shalom, shalom, man.
Shalom, shalom.
Assalamu alaikum, man.
All right. All right. Give
Walaikum
me time.
salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. The question that I have for the brother is this. I've been hearing everything that you've been saying in regards for tonight, and I'm going to get right to it and say a direct question to you, brother.
You said at the beginning how it's childish, the conversation shouldn't be even questioned or answered, however you want to define it as. My question to you is this: if the netters are not natural, literal, etc., is it fair to say that every creator, however you define them as, under as however you choose to define them under the Abrahamic faith, whether it be as a Muslim, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Elohim, however you choose to define them as, would be better than what you are spewing out to the master people now?
All right. So, all right, peace to you, brother. I'll tap to you.
I'm all set, brother.
All right, if you don't mind, can you shorten that question? I understood it, but I want you, if you don't mind, shortening the question.
If the netters are not natural, literal, is it fair to say that me as a Muslim stating that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is far more greater than anything that's being presented from the Kemetic teachings?
Okay. All right. So thank you for the question, and thank you for simplifying it. So, by virtue of the fact that you do profess to be a Muslim, I would
Nam.
expect. I'm sorry.
I said nam.
Okay.
Nam in
All right.
Arabic is yes.
Yes. Yes. So I would expect that you will already perceive by default that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is greater than all others. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one and only and greater by default. So I wouldn't expect you to view Neteru on any equal playing field. And I wouldn't try to convince you because it would be pointless for me to do that. Now, the Neteru, or we could just simply say nature. So if we want to speak about the all-encompassing creative force of the whole universe, Nebercher, nature, that's
I understand it. I
all-encompassing.
understand the pronunciation. I know that,
Okay.
sir.
Okay.
I'm capable of reading, so
All right,
I
let him
understand.
finish. Let him finish, brother Law. Let him finish. I know it's staining a little bit. Just
Okay.
take it all in, brother.
And also keep in mind, this is my first time meeting you, so I don't know what you know. All right. So and since you asked me the question, I'm gonna speak. This is my perspective. All right. So I perceive that nature is the force of the universe beyond qualitative
That's
and
why I said
quantitative.
nature.
Okay.
Yes, that's why I said nature, sir.
All right. So, oh, okay. Thank you for that. All right. So you, as you're expressing it, you perceive that excuse me, because you believe in Tawheed, all right, the oneness. But this is not the same as saying nature is within you or Allah is within you. All right. Because I've heard most of the Muslims that I've interacted with in my life were Sunni. All right. Some that I've interacted with are of the Sufi persuasion, where they don't have a problem with saying Allah is within, where the Sunnis that I've experienced in my life have. All right. So my position is that the great creative force of the universe that I can call nature, or from my mandate ancestry, we say Inyama. Inyama is both creator and creative force of the universe in all things. So it's not an issue of, well, this deity is greater than this deity. I don't do that. Now, it appears that you may, and that's okay, because that may be how you need to function in the world. That's not something that I need, but I respect that might be something you need but that's not something I have to do. So I'm not going to impose that on you. I would expect or hope that you wouldn't attempt to impose it on me. However, I understand that Islam, Hebrew Israelite tradition, and even Christianity, that is structured to do so, to proselytize and to down other people, essentially. And I'm describing xenophobia. All right. And again, that's not me downing or mischaracterizing the fear of others or things that are different. So it's, if you're different than what we do, you are bad by default. That is not something that I do or the tradition that I practice. But I also am able to psychologically protect myself from people who do. Now, I'm not. Now, is that an issue for you, or are you we good? Like,
Brother La, why you take so long to talk, man? Like a grandpa.
well, hold on. Well, now when I'm looking at our brother,
The reason,
all right, hold on. So I'm
and
looking
that's
at,
why,
I guess the body. I'm looking at the
that's
body
why,
language. All right. I'm looking at
and
the
that's
body
why,
language. All right, go ahead. Go ahead.
And that's why I just actually cut the camera back on. That's why I was quiet and still, and I didn't say anything because I just wanted to make sure that you were completely finished with your dialogue and you're finished with your conversation. That's why I was quiet, sir. I didn't want to interrupt you.
All right. Respect. Okay. Go ahead.
Once again, I'm going to reiterate. If it is nature and the letters are not literal, I mean, it's just simple. I mean, I'm just trying to figure out why is it that what even with reading the text, why does it seem like it's a challenge to pull a direct answer out of the question that I'm asking?
Okay. So the text. What text are you referring to?
In reading, what you say? Okay. What happened?
Shout out to Miss Nicole in the background. Shout out to Miss Nicole. You already know what it is. Shout out to Nicole right there.
All right. So it's a brother La. When you say in a text, are you talking about Kemetic text or are you talking about another text?
What I'm speaking about in regards to, brother, is in actually reading any of the Kemetic teachings. And none of the Kemetic teachings shows forth anything in regards for stating that the letters are natural as well as literal, is what you're saying, correct?
No. Okay. So we can go to the instructions of, I believe it's Aminim Opet. And mind you, I'm sitting in a car where he says that the nature of this world is the sun and the sky. So that is a literal, but it's also symbolic. Okay. So that's one. But you said in going through the text, now have you read, like which Kemetic text have you read to come to conclusions that you've made, at least in this conversation?
In this conversation that we're actually having, I've read exactly what you just stated, and I actually asked Jabari that same question in regards to it being symbolism. And what I also stated to him was, in regards to it being symbolical and towards symbolism, it can also straddle the fence of being esoteric as well. Do you concur
Well,
with that
yes.
or no?
No, I agree with being esoteric as well.
Okay.
Well, hold on. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Hold on. Which text you use? Well, hold on, because I need I needed clarity for myself. So when we talk about the text, you said you read what I said. Do you remember where that's from?
Actually, I can actually pull it. Where's
Or at least a ball. I'll even take a ballpark. Ballpark.
What did I say that was? Oh my goodness.
Okay, I'll allow me to assist you. So if you go to Merriam Littrum's book, Ancient Egyptian Literature, Volume 2 is there. So that's a hint. Okay, not a problem. Now, what Kemetic text? And if you don't mind, can you be specific about what you read? You say, okay, I've read this text from this time period. It's not there. I went to the Middle Kingdom. I read this text. It wasn't there. I went to the New Kingdom. I read these 3 texts. It wasn't there. And I'm asking, can you do that so that, you can give me assurance and me clarity?
What I'm asking in regards to is this, and I'm just going to, from going across the spectrum.
Across the spectrum.
Whether it be
broad. Mm-hmm. You can continue talking. You can continue. I'm just repeating back the words you're using. Go ahead, I'm listening.
I understand what you're trying to do, brother. I understand, brother. I guess the question will never be answered. I guess it'd just be a topic that'll be continually asked on different platforms and different times and different channels. So I guess this debate or this conversation you engaged in tonight with me, I appreciate it. And I'll just leave it at that, bro. I mean, it is what it is.
Well, I appreciate you, brother. I guess the next time we have a discussion, and I hope we do have a discussion.
Inshallah.
Yeah, and
you
for those specific texts, if you don't mind, yeah, I even take if you write them down or whatever, bring those texts, the names of those texts. Then that way, I think we can have a more productive dialogue. And I have my books. You have your books with those Kemetic texts. And I believe if you're a Muslim, definitely I would invite you to bring the Quran. You can bring the Hadith as well. Definitely. Okay. And I'll have the Kemetic text. The instructions of Fatah Hotep.
You know what's happening right now, Brother La? What's happening, Brother La, is that now you are getting, hold on, brother.
If 2 men are dying long, brother, there's no need for no input.
Yes, it is,
on either topic, whether it be towards,
I am the host, Brother La. I am the host, Brother La, of the show. I am the host of the show, Brother La. There you go. Run, brother. Just run, brother. I'm the host of the show. And so now what happened is Brother La just what go around, come around. How many times we heard Brother La say, well, you got to show the text. You got to go into the text and you got to have the text ready. How many times we hear Brother La say that? And so now, Sonjedi ain't hear him say that, but Sonjedi just said, yo, brother, make sure you got this. What text have you reading? Where's that coming from? And now he runs because now the same question he been asking to everybody else and all of us is coming back to him now. And now we see that he ain't even got the goddamn text. He don't know where the text coming from. See that? But y'all don't know who y'all speaking to. You think this brother Sonjedi popped up out of nowhere. This brother sat side by side the God Killer. This brother been doing battle for years with the God Killer when this joint was hot. Come up in here. It was on fire for anybody to come up and challenge. And now you see that this brother is not a goddamn new jack. He been here long time ago.
So they always ask for the Amon Ra squad. There go part of it.
So sa.neter, what I would well, one, I'll say peace to brother Kek. I did hear about Ngozi was on the line. Peace to my brother. You know what You know, we've had our differences, but I still love y'all brothers.
Hey,
So
hey, I'm a
what
I'm a raw squad up, brother. You know how we do, yo. That
I'm a
don't
rock
change.
squad
I'm a
up.
raw squad up, yo. They hey Sonjedi, let them know that you was the first person. Watch this. He's the first person in my career that actually caught me out there, beat me up, and taught me something online. He the first person. I was all in that daggone Wallace E. Bird's dictionary, right? And talking that word was the nigger and all that. You was like, hold on, brother. And I was like, what? And he caught me. Yo, this is at the height of my powers. One on raw squad. Yo, like bang, bing, bing, bing. I was like, hey man, how you doing? That's him right there. Point blank. I know you
So
remember like it was yesterday, don't you, Sonjedi? Tell the
yeah,
truth, yo.
I remember, you know what I mean? And I did that privately, by the way, y'all. I didn't do that publicly.
No, it was
But
live. You missed it because I pushed you to do it
I,
live.
I don't
I kept doing
remember.
it.
But all right, I got you.
You know
So
how I do.
so I just
You know
wanted
how
to
I do.
yeah,
It
yeah,
was
I got you.
private, and then I
Now,
kept saying it live. I just want to say that. All right.
so to the brother La, you know, hopefully he's looking at this. What I was saying is, okay, so I do find that our beautiful verses.
You breaking up a little bit, brother. You breaking up.
Okay. All right, how's that? Is that better? That good?
Yeah, that's better. That's better.
How's that? All right.
Yeah.
I do find that there are beautiful verses in the Quran. You know, okay, because I have copies myself. I read these texts. All right. I do find there's beautiful verses, you know, in Proverbs, in the Torah, etc. And when it comes to teachings of morals and ethics, I would invite our brother La to bring the Quran, all right, and even Hadith, Sahih Muslim, Sahih Bukhari, bring those texts, and we can just dialogue on the morals and ethics of behavior and how we treat each other. And I will bring sacred texts, the instructions of Ptah-hotep, the instructions of Ani, the instructions of Amenem Opet, the instructions of Pahepor, the instructions addressed to King Keti. I will bring the virtues, innocence of decorations of virtues. Go to the tomb of Harmad, Barkuf. Let's go there. Mararuka will quote those about morals and ethics, and we will be able to demonstrate that Africa, that
You're breaking up.
we already have the more.
You're breaking up again.
Discuss how we already. All right, how's that?
Smoke, brother.
How's that? Is that good?
I see you, Reggie.
How's
Yes.
that?
Yeah, you back. That's good.
Okay. And then we can demonstrate that we already had and still have the moral ethical code before the Abrahamic traditions. Now, it doesn't mean, Brother La, for you not to practice your tradition. By all means, if that makes you a better man and maintains you, then by all means. Right. But if you want to say or imply that, well, yours is better than ours, then I would invite you to demonstrate that. Use your texts, and I will come with these texts. I'm not putting across as a debate because we can discuss it, and I will demonstrate with the text. You put the Arabic up on the screen, I'll put Meta Nectar up on the screen. Not a problem. Okay. Or we could just simply stick to just translations.
Reggie gonna call him tonight and say, "Don't do it, don't do it, brother La." Right or wrong, Reggie?
What I would say is because brother La is gonna call me after the show, and I'm gonna have to wait. I'm gonna have to. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, Reggie.
He's gonna have to call me, and I'm gonna have to come downstairs, and he's gonna say, "See, brother Reggie. See, what I'm saying is that y'all can talk your talk, right? But when people ask for a direct answer, right?
Question.
We never receive it. And he's gonna say that in his tradition, right? They are organized. And he's gonna say in our tradition, we show infighting, we're not organized and we show contradictory. So what he said was, and I'll stop. What he says was, if the neters, right, are not literal, and not actual, and not real, right, then his tradition is better than our tradition. But our tradition is real, it is actual, it is literal, and we should never have to discuss that, especially inside our own community. But one person from the community, and not you, brother Sonjedi, Ankh Ra, right? Right? You will defend Kemet for its moral, ethical, for its real, for its actual, right? But what he's gonna go is gonna say, you're protecting one person and not your tradition. And that's the problem. And he's gonna call me. He's gonna call me.
Ain't nobody
and I'm gonna have to defend our tradition or what I research against his organized religion, which I disagree with, what they did to Africa. But it does not matter, is because we are unorganized and we are contradictory and we don't answer questions, so we can't fight. Thank you. That's so now I have a problem. And it's not that Brother Sonjedi did not do a good job. Brother Sonjedi did a great job. That's not what I'm saying.
Reggie, say spectacular job. Let me hear you say that.
Spectacular job.
There you go.
If you would listen to him, but my brother La's tradition could be on a war footing, organized to defend themselves.
Let me explain something to you for a minute, my brother Reggie.
Yeah, put yourself on the big screen.
Yeah, let me put myself up here on the
I might
big
not
screen.
be able to hear you. Go ahead.
Let me put myself on the big screen for Reggie. Reggie, we all know that Brother La is a Muslim. Shout out to Brother La. Be the best Muslim you could be. But Brother La don't give a goddamn about the meta nature. He just want to be able to read it and understand it. Like Sonjedi said, he believed that his Islam is better than everybody else's religion. And if the question was asked to him, he will tell you yes. He believed that he is better than everybody else because he's a Muslim and he's closer to Allah. So come on, man. So cut it out, Reggie. If it comes down to Islam and the metal nature, which one you think he gonna put under fire? It's gonna be metal nature, brother.
Right. But he's saying he's gonna say to me, and so how do you have a him nature tepi, right? Who don't read the metal nature?
Why he worried about that?
Why? Because
why he worried about in the Kemetic community? Why? And Jabari do read the metal nature.
Because he reads
as
the
good as
Quran.
you and Jetty, but he reads it. Y'all keep saying that. There was a time when you was on that level, Reggie.
Brother La is a Muslim that reads the Quran, and he says we could read it. So why can't you people read it?
I want Brother La to get up here and talk to us about the history of Islam and how the Muslims were chopping up the heads of Black and African people and putting them on poles and sticks and cutting the bellies open of Black women. Let's talk about that, Brother La. But you ain't gonna talk about that. You want to hide it and try to make Islam fair seeming like this was the greatest religion in the world. But in all actuality, you was beat upside your goddamn head. And forced, and the religion was forced upon you. In some cases, they would say assalamu alaikum in the daytime and call you nigger in the nighttime and cut your damn head off, put it on a goddamn pole. They had poles going down the road, Reggie. And when you look at them poles, you will see nothing but African heads on the goddamn pole. And Africans were scared to walk through. Let's talk about that, Brother La. They will say assalamu alaikum. Come on, man. Y'all playing games, man, with this.
Hey, yo, Sa, man, I have a question for Brother Sonjedi, though.
Go ahead, brother. Let's get it back to the...
Yeah, but it's related to the current discussion. So Brother La brought up a question on what is the use of studying a tradition that tells you to study nature to improve your life? What use is that?
He didn't say that.
Yes, he did. But if he did not, I'm still asking for that question to be answered.
Hold on. This question for me?
Yes, brother Sonjedi.
All right, so wait a minute, you said what is the use of studying
What is the
nature
use
to
of studying nature to help improve one's life if the neters represent nature?
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for the question. Well, one, I never said that. I don't even think that way. Now, there's something called biomimicry. So, if you look up biomimicry, it is where scientists look to nature, how animals habitate, hunt, operate, and move about, and even the way plants adapt, etc., for the use of technology or to improve technology. So look up biomimicry, and then we can see why it's important to study nature to improve our lives. Okay. So that's from a scientific standpoint. Now, when it comes to simple observation, so if I study what certain animals eat, especially mammals, and what mammals avoid eating, that would indicate to me what foods to eat and what foods not to eat for my survival. So to the audience, hopefully I answered that question. And hopefully we can move on.
Yes. Let me see. Who had their hand up? Was it Asar Mka?
Yes.
Or you, you wanted to ask a question?
Yeah. All right, go ahead.
Yeah.
Hey, yo, self-reflection. You got to go out and come in. You're not in there.
Yeah. So, Sonjedi, question here. Am I incorrect if I was to say that the Egyptians felt as if they had the best culture, and for lack of a better word, they felt like themselves to be more civilized than everybody else around them? And in thinking this, we would have to include their spiritual social system. They felt like being Egyptian was the best. We the people, we the humans. So am I wrong or right on that?
What other culture was on the planet when the Egyptians was there? Which other one?
You got a lot of different cultures.
Like what? Example?
You got like Mesopotamia. You got at time, depending on the time period, you got cultures in Western Asia. You got Rome, you got Greece. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of places, but I'm saying their parameter of thinking. That's what I want to ask Sonjedi.
Okay, good one.
All right. Can you go to the beginning of that? Because I cut out. What is the beginning of the question? All right.
My question is, did the Egyptians feel like that they was the most civilized of people? That their culture, their religion, their custom, their tradition, their social cultural system was better than everybody else? That they was the people, the humans. Am I right or wrong in that?
Yes. Yes. So they did look at themselves as more civilized than their neighbors. Okay, so go on mute. All right, thanks.
Yeah,
they did perceive themselves as more civilized than their neighbors. And this is common among people who have levels of civilization. It's logical for you to look at yourself as the highest or the best from what you practice. Okay. But it also doesn't mean that you don't give other people agency. So I want to put that out there. But yes, they did look at themselves as highly civilized, and there are certain groups of people around them, especially in Western Asia, that they looked at as they call them like what they say vile Asiatic per se, because of their behavior. In fact, when you look at the text in the first intermediate period, it says, "Behold the miserable Asiatic. He fights since the time of Heru. He was like a crocodile on his shore." Okay, things like that, meaning that they're cutthroats and thieves. But this is based on the behavior, not by default of you being different. So,
all right, thanks a lot, bro.
Sorry, Kyle, you had something, fam?
Yeah, I was gonna clear up a couple things, and then it was something I wanted to ask you. Hopefully it'll come back, as I say. Number one, because our brother has already made a statement saying that the Neteru are literal on a show before, which is why I was trying to stop Harwin in the first place. They're literal, but they're also allegorical. We know they come in both. So it's not a separate situation, though we had a debate concerning. Two, Brother Sa, every time somebody say Medu Neter, don't you start shaking your head like you got to cover for our brother Jabari. Jabari is learning Medu Neter currently. He all right, that's our brother now. Slow down, calm down. Number three, when it comes to Vudan, because our brother was kind of wild about the Congo in particular, and I think this might bring back what I was going to ask you. Vudan and some of the other religions in Africa, some of them are derivatives of this particular system. So when you talk about Orisha, Ogungun, or Obatala, or you show that you're in the case of Apostle Iwa Pele or Iwa Baruru, which he showed he was Iwa Baruru in this instance. This is a matter of good and bad. And when you see the derivatives of the Orisha being similar to the Neteru, it's very easy. Even in the life cycle, from the Manu mountain in ancient Egypt to the other mountain in the Congo. So when you disrespect and say that it's witchcraft, it shows how Europeanized your mind is. And speaking of that, Brother Sonjedi, when you see the European style mindedness of our brothers who are in Abrahamic faiths, what do you say or what do you use if such is the challenge you just received from our brother La? Shout out to my brother La. But when they think arrogantly of a God that was derived from the natural that we already have from Africa.
Okay, so restate your restate the question.
I was
Like
gonna say, let me say
I'm
it at
with you
the end
though.
again. when you hear the Europeanized mind tout about gods that have been destructive but derived from the African gods, what do you say to remind them of their true self and true nature?
Hold on. Can everybody go on mute? Okay, so I would remind that person that respectfully that Yahweh was a war god, a son of El. I will remind them that the warrior storm deity Baal was absorbed into their deity. I will remind them that you secretly worship as a storm of war. Okay. I will remind them that their high deity, El, that they may say Elah in some Semitic languages, okay, is a warring father. Now, I'm not saying that we don't have warrior deities in Africa. We got Ogun. We even have Obatala in his warrior form, okay, who wears white and red. We have those things in Africa. But when they say, well, witchcraft, and which is why Muslim brother. Hold on. How's that? Is that better?
Yeah, that's better.
Okay. Where I will remind them that you mischaracterizing and name calling our tradition is disrespectful, which is why I responded the way I did. And like I told them, I will not allow you to do that. And that myself and some others, I am fully prepared for that conversation where they may be accustomed to people who are unprepared and that they can dominate the dialogue, and reminding him that that is not this situation. Okay. So it's important for us to be educated in their texts so we can speak intelligently about them. But also, when it comes to Kemet, I'll encourage it. Know Kemetic text in the same way that a Muslim knows the Quran. I think that is the more honorable kind of dialogue. If you're Kemetic, know Kemetic text the same way that a scholar of the Bible knows those verses. You need to be able to use quotes and verses and stanzas from Kemetic text and be specific. What temple or tomb and papyri does that come from? You need to be able to quote it the same way they quote theirs. Otherwise, we are unprepared.
Right.
Okay? And the brother was not, it doesn't appear that it appears that he was unprepared to speak to someone of a Kemetic persuasion who can actually quote the text. And his too.
Right. All right. Let me go to Yara. What up, Yara? One more Hebrew. I see you, Suntan. I'm going to see what this Hebrew got. This is my brother Yara right here, though.
Hey, sa.neter, the next time you call me a Hebrew, I'm going to call you an atheistic, murderous clown. Because that's what you do. Hold on, I'm not done.
No, the reason I do that is to let my brother know who he's going to talk to. That's all.
No, I'm just messing with you, son. I'm just messing with you,
okay.
man. I'm just messing with you. You know what, son? I'm just messing with you. I'm just messing with you. It's all good.
Yeah, don't forget, you're a eighth or sixth, maybe, right?
A what?
You're eighth or sixth. April, 7th or 8th.
The fifth.
Right, there you go. That's right, man. You right there with each other.
Yeah, we right there with each other. Yeah,
you
no
the
doubt.
fifth. So, chill out, man.
It's all good. I already know what it is. But peace to you, man. Shout out to Dr. Rich. I'm just gonna go down the line. Shout out to Sankofa.
Big up, bro.
Sonjedi in the building.
Sorry, I see him, man.
Okay.
Sorry. And my good brother, Sonjedi, I saw your presentation. I listened to your presentation. I see you, Suntan. I saw your presentation, and I listened to it, and I enjoyed it. I just enjoy history as a whole, right? Before we even get into anybody's spiritual beliefs and concepts or whatever, I just enjoy history as a whole and listening to it. So I really enjoyed it. Very thorough, very knowledgeable. I just you and I previously, I don't know if you recall, we started a conversation.
Oh yeah, that's right. Sonjedi, the brother that you said you would like to finish off your conversation with. Remember?
He may have not. He may have. I can't.
No,
okay, I can hear him. Okay.
He on mute, Sonjedi, if you're trying to talk.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Remember the brother Yara? Where you said, I want that brother back, because y'all had a nice conversation, a nice bill.
I believe so. I think he was the last brother on. I think before.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. I just like I said before then, like I enjoyed your presentation then, and this evening as well. So more so than me attempting to debate you about anything in regards to Kemetic belief systems or spirituality or or whatever paradigm you come from. I just wanted to have just a conversation with you on a bill, because I think that even when we talk about the Abrahamic faith, right, that I do hear, I must admit, I do hear you may have a slight disdain for the Abrahamic faiths, and that's okay. It's okay if you do. It's okay if you do. I just hear a slight one, but it's for all. I think it's for all I learned. I see you laughing. Sorry, Kyle, but it's all good, because I think that what you said just a moment ago is very important, right? That to really have these real conversations, we all do need to study and understand each other's paradigm. So that's why people don't, I know I call him Dr. Reggie, so y'all excuse me. He told me not to do it. He asked me not to do it I just do it out of respect. But Dr. Reggie, Asaram Kai, I have had a lot of exchanges, so I don't dismiss our history. I know it's a part of African history, right? I don't deny that part of my heritage at all. But I do see that when we talk about the Abrahamic faith or not, it's dismissed as my good brother Asar said as somewhat of a European mindset, right? And I think that's kind of what he was alluding to when he
Yeah.
asked that question. Um, but there is some significance, right? That I see that we hold or we should hold as a people, even when the concepts, right? Because I see a lot of syncretisms, right? I do see a lot of syncretisms from the the Ugaritic text you brought out, from the Canaanite pantheon. I see it in the ancient Kemetic pantheons. I see a lot of syncretisms, and I think that sometimes because we look to beat up each other, we miss the opportunities to actually build, right? To see where we actually do connect, right? So that's what I'll be more interested in a lot, to have those
Okay.
conversations. So I see things that, other people really don't see, So, maybe we can come together and get together and we can have a conversation or build on something like that when you have time. When you have
Brother
time.
Sonjedi, Yara is not nice. He's
Oh, hold
not
on.
nice. He's baiting you.
Well,
He's
hold on.
baiting
Wait a
you
minute.
into something. He's not
Okay.
nice.
That's
All
not
right.
nice, Dr.
So,
Reddick. That's what's not nice.
Yeah, they had a good convo last time,
okay.
brother.
All right. So,
Man, Sonjedi can handle that, man. That's light work for him.
Word, right?
all
Light
right.
work.
All
Light
right. So,
work.
what I would like to say to was it Elder Yara Ben Azar, I did enjoy and I do appreciate the angle that you're coming, and I would enjoy that kind of conversation. We can dialogue on the type of ethics and morals and things that you find inspiring from your text. Now, which text do you utilize? I see it's Ben. So you're of the Hebrew persuasion, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So Proverbs or whichever books that you choose, and say, hey, you show this one, and I'll show some. And if we want to look at commonality, I'm definitely willing to do that.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's. I think that's good. I really would like. You know what? I heard you mention the teachers of Amenhotep. I
I'm in a
heard you
moped.
mention Amenhotep. I heard you
Yeah.
mention that as well. I've done a teaching on that as well, and talking about the parallelisms that we can clearly show
I would
and
like to see that.
clearly see. I've done a teaching on that as breakdown. So that's a conversation that I would like to have. I think a fresh perspective on that for both, Israelites, Christians, or those of the Abrahamic faith, and someone who's is astute as yourself, and and deal with ancient Kemet and those practices, and how society was viewed at that time, because I do see a lot of cultural syncretisms, even in regards to the chronologies, right, of when that was supposedly written, right, and the time that the biblical chronology sort of gives, who would have, as they say, it would have been Solomon, or maybe Solomon maybe plagiarized it, or maybe some later writers, right? If you follow, the documentary hypothesis, we can get into that. Yes, Dr. Reggie.
Yeah, so me and you, we were having some chit chat, and you was said that there was a problem that if our texts are not real, actual, and literal, right, our natural, then we ain't got nothing on the Hebrew culture, the Israelite culture. Sorry, not the Hebrew, the Israelite culture. So that's what I was warning Brother Sanjetti about, because in your thinking and a lot of other Israelite thinkings, is that now we find that our what we study, right, in Kemet is not actual, literal, and real, but you practice a living God. And so you was real
Yes.
kind of harsh on me on that, that now
Yeah.
we find that nothing was stolen.
Yeah. So, and I think
Well,
that's what,
Hey,
and
hey,
I
hey,
said
hey,
that.
no, hold on, y'all.
Uh-huh.
Reggie, I want you to be careful, because Yara told me the love relationship is over. Be careful, brother.
That's why I'm saying I got to be careful with
Yeah.
Yara.
Because, but you know what, son?
I'm telling
Yeah.
Brother Sonjedi that Yara is a wolf in this.
Well, that's
He-
kind of the
well,
conversation I think brother me and Sanjetti left off of about if these things were actually
may I? Well, if I may
stolen to a
respond,
degree.
yeah,
Yeah,
if I may
go ahead, man.
respond to that. So in partially responding to Brother Reggie, I do see very clearly that the Elder Yara is taking a different approach. That is more of a passive aggressive approach than some of the others where they're aggressive passive.
Right.
So I do see, and I'm saying it, for you, Brother Yara, I'm letting you know I do see the technique. So I'm responding to the technique in kind. All right.
Absolutely.
That is a way of disarming so that my alarms don't go off. All right. So I can see that clearly, and I don't have a problem with it. Okay. So we can have a dialogue. Is us going through that text, right, is no different than the other brother who's of the Muslim, who's the Muslim of Islam. And I said to him, well, bring the Quran, bring the Hadith, Sahih Bukhari, Sahih Muslim. All right. And any of the other texts on morals and ethics and discuss them. And I will bring Instruction Patahotep, Amin Mopet, Paheb Hor, a whole plethora. I will bring the coffin text, I will bring the pyramid text. Okay. And we could do this all day. But now that was a little bit more aggressive. Now with you took a different approach, but the outcome is going to be the same as with the other brother, where it's going to be demonstration beats conversation. Okay. I have the ability, skill set, because my teachers gave the skill, helped me with the skill set, be it Ankh Ra, Seba Riketi Amin, Infidisha Juhudimes, Tony Browder, and many others that have been an influence on me. And to honor them, I would have to give a demonstration. So I would demonstrate. So the next time I'm on here, or at least the next time I give a presentation, I would show the quotes and I would show them side by side. Okay. And I will include the instructions of Amin and Mopet, and I'll show some biblical verses. But also, mind you, I'm on biblical verses because I'm spending time reading African literature. So I'll spend more time on that.
Yeah.
But I'm fully prepared to do.
Hold on. So I want to know, Sonjedi, before you get off here, can I give you 2 weeks to come back with that?
Yeah, we could do it in about 2 weeks.
Okay, now remember 2 weeks, and then Elder Yara, you got 2 weeks to get your information together.
Oh, I can do that tomorrow.
Discussion. And I want to let Elder Suntan go before I get Sonjedi to close us out.
This
one piece to the panel, and peace, Brother Sonjedi. Great demonstration as always. But my question is on symbolism, right? Because I come from the Abrahamic faith, no Hebrew or none like that, which Hebrew is not bad. And I'm not, judging nobody. I didn't pass from judgment of people and their paradigms. But Sonjedi, my question to you is symbolism, right? So when I was deep into the Abrahamic faith and things like that, we believed in angels and heaven and hell and angels with powers and things like that. So when you get to Kemet, would the natures be on the same level as angels, or would they be in the same description as far as symbolism, in your opinion? Because it was only in my opinion, because now myself, even I have grown from that. However, it's still strong in the atmosphere and around people and in religious beliefs and whatever. Like I said, Sonjedi, I have went past. I'm more like you. I see you very humble. You don't try to attack people and things like that. And that's where I come from. I don't do that either. I don't judge. I don't have to debate nothing that I philosophically believe in. It's all my personal thoughts. It's my life. So I don't get up here trying to say, hey, God will get you if you don't do this.
Question, brother.
Yeah. Um, Again, Elder, thank you for your statements and question. So when it comes to, well, you use the word angels. So
Yeah, just
uh,
symbolism.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. So when it comes to Neteru, uh, key Neteru, the Kemetic people give more agency to key Neteru more so than those of the Abrahamism give to angels. All right, since they're simply messengers accordingly. Now, if you look at saints, if you will, especially like Catholicism or any other branch similar, how people give them honors as ancestors and semi-divine beings, if you will, because they call upon their names to help and assist them. Some people even do that with angels. So
That's what I'm
people,
saying.
yeah, people do that across the board. We do that in the Orisha tradition. Okay, I mean, I do it myself
Right.
and whatnot. So yes. So to answer your question, yes, for
Okay,
the
that's
most
all.
part.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Because I was getting sort of pushback as if to say that the Netchers were not that they were just like but that's just my own thinking because I walk my own path. And thanks a lot
Right.
because
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
thinking they're on the same level.
let
All right.
me. I think it's
Hold
important for me
on.
to address that part.
Go
That
ahead.
part. So I think where those people are coming from is that because the Neteru, are using ritual, and that we may not see angels used in ritual in the same way. That's probably why people will say, no, they're not the same. So it's more than likely the motivation behind that. But I definitely would invite those people to, do a deeper dive. Even yourself, based on your maturity. Again, you're an elder, and I appreciate your approach and the wisdom that you already have. I think you would get a lot out of Kemetic literature just to add to your own understanding. Um, you don't, not implying for you to change anything, but I think you would appreciate it.
All right. Let me go to self-flexion. Last one. Self, what up, brother?
Peace. Um, the truth is, I really don't have no questions for him. I just want to give him his flowers for for being for bringing peace and not trying to argue. I really think that this really what it's about. It's about building and understanding more than arguing sides. So I just want to thank him for coming up here, and it make me see that I definitely need to study more because people listen when you got source. So I just wanted to give him his flowers.
Thank you, brother. Yep. There you go. And so with that, my brother Sonjedi, close us out, brother.
All right. So I want to acknowledge the brother who just spoke. My screen is a little small, so I can't really read the name very well. But again, I appreciate that you gave me that acknowledgement. But again, the glory does not belong to me. It belongs to the ancestors. The
Thank you.
glory doesn't belong.
Oh, now I
Yeah,
was just
the
saying
glory.
this. Yeah, this Naeem. I used to be going to the Temple of Anu. So
Oh, Anaim, what's up, brother? What's
peace,
good, man?
brother.
How you feeling, man? All
Man,
right.
I'm feeling good, man. I'm glad how you handled yourself in this tough environment. It wasn't that tough for you
That's
because
right,
you know your
Naeem.
stuff, man.
Yeah, Naeem. Yeah, bro. Hey, listen, Naeem, this brother has art skill. All right. We've all, at the Temple of Anu, we have gotten some of his products. So I'm going to give you your flowers, brother. You know what I mean? With your creativity, keep doing it. Um, Listen, and if you ever need any advice or ideas, man, hey, man, contact me, brother. I'm here for you. All right.
I appreciate that, brother.
All
My
right.
man.
Close us out, Sonjedi.
Okay. Again, thank you for everyone who's listened in. Discussed, even those who disagreed. We all learned. I learned. I appreciate that y'all gave me this opportunity to exercise self-awareness tonight in the spirit of Ma'at and allow me to practice what it means to be ma'adik to the best of my ability. That, again, the glory does not belong to me. The glory belongs to my teachers and the ancestors. You know, my parents and all, that, you know, we are all one. We just have to figure out why. sa.neter.
All right. Peace, everybody. Y'all can see yourself out.
All right.
Thank
Peace,
everybody
peace.
for coming through. Peace.
Peace, peace.
Okay is the toughest environment. Before you come in, you gotta know who you're messing with. Okay is the toughest environment. You think you're ready, you think you're nice, it takes a high requirements. You gotta pay the price if you wanna survive this life. Put your heart on the line, no room for second guessing. Step into the ring and learn yourself a lesson. The pressure is heavy, it's sink or swim. Light hits the stage, but your shadow is dim. You came for the crown, but you're facing a king. No turning back when you step in the ring. Blood, sweat, and tears, yeah. We built from the grid. You talk about winning, now you ready to quit. So check your ambition before you walk off the HOK. Don't care what you say. The HOK is the toughest environment. Before you come in, you gotta know who you're messing with. Show us your source, let the truth be spoken. Words don't mean a thing when the trust is broken. You know how this works. I see you crying, I know it hurts. HOK is the toughest environment. Before you come in, you gotta know who you're messing with. HOK is the toughest environment. You think you're ready, you think you're nice, it takes a high requirement. You gotta pay the price.
I want everybody to acknowledge one thing before I officially goes off. And Sonjedi does this all the time. For the whole full 3 hours and change, we never heard one profanity that came out this brother's mouth. Did y'all hear me? And I hope other teachers take note of that. There was, even when he was being challenged, he didn't get emotional. There was not one word of profanity that came out this brother's mouth, because he's a teacher, man. For real. He's a teacher. That's all I wanted to say, man. Because I want you to know I recognized it. I've been seeing, I was like, damn, I got to get to that level. You know what I'm saying? I got to get to that level.
If you want to survive